We are back. The Battle of North America just took place. It's 5Ms grabbing a 2-0 victory to start things off. Got some EU teams getting ready to go toe-to-toe here as well. Remember the structure of this whole event. The winner of this one will move on to play 5Ms and a best of 5 tomorrow. The winner of that moving on to the grand finals. A loser's bracket run necessary for the teams who end up dropping their matches here today. Fans, bar is open, and people are taking their time to get on over there, grab some drinks, settle in for a long day of SMITE 2 action. Because the SMITE 2 Founder Series here, live in Las Vegas, and what a time we are having. All you people online at home as well, we see you. We love you. We've already got some great SMITE to start things off. Excited to get things kicked off here with our second matchup here over in EU. We got some world champions, some up-and-comers, some veterans, some newcomers, and a whole lot of talking from both teams that are ready to get things going here. So, please, join me in welcoming Smoke Break to the stage. Their opponents can't pass them over. Please welcome to the stage, Team Risk. A lot of dynamics here in this matchup as well. Players subbing in at the last minute for a couple of these teams. Storied player team effort, I guess is what I'm looking for. That have been playing together for years. There's the word. And so I'm excited to hear how these teams adapt and get things going here in SMITE 2. That's it for me here on the stage. The desk will take it from here.
Thanks so much, Dave, and welcome back in here to the Analyst desk. My name is Gormizer. I've still got Hazer, who's sitting here with me, and in a second, though, here, see Lermy, who's joining us, which is going to be a lot of fun. Of course, again, we're celebrating a whole ton of stuff. We're talking about this fact that SMITE's now free to play. SMITE 2, you can just go get it whenever you want, and I suggest the sooner the better. You can learn a lot from what we've been watching. But I'd also say we've seen some surprising choices already being made just today, and there's only been 2 games.
I still can't believe it. The first game, really, in that set of 5Ms, them getting Uller Afro, I mean, that's a dream lane for them, right? Insane gameplay from them across the board. And honestly, I expect some of those picks to continue getting banned going forward. After watching that performance, I'd be scared to play against that lane too.
After that performance, I'd be scared of playing against 5Ms, if I'm being completely honest.
Just in general.
This next matchup is going to be really fun. Risk versus Smoke Break. This is one that I feel like we've seen a few times. And like, if you dropped in like October and you said, by the way, we're going to get to the Founders Series and those 2 teams are going to be playing each other, most people would be like, we talking about the same Smoke Break?
Yeah.
Like, what do you mean? But as you know, this is called the SMITE 2 Founders Series. And you might be wondering, well, what are you founding? Well, you're founding SMITE 2. That's the whole thing. It just went free to play. I mentioned that. But you can still get your Founders Editions right now. They're going to give you a whole ton. And I talk about this a lot. Every time I've done this read, I've mentioned the fact that the biggest thing I think is that second line, all SMITE 2 gods forever. 12 years ago, I bought a $30 god pack in SMITE, and then I never bought another god for 10 full years. Like, it literally has been, actually it's 2025. Things are wild. Time's crazy. If you purchase this, I'm just telling you, it will be absolutely worthwhile. But you get so much more than just that. Like, that's the thing, is before, it felt like you were getting so much value for it, and now we've added more onto it. I don't know. I don't know how we're making money off of it. It feels like we're giving too much away, but it is absolutely worthwhile. You go to smite2.com. At the very top, I literally did it like 10 seconds ago because I wanted to make sure I had everything written out in front of me. So you can get so much, again, including all the gods. You can get the Night Stalker knee skin. You can get the cross-gen, the Fallen Zeus skin, tier 5 on top of that. So like, that is it is gorgeous. Plus you get the 2x legacy gems. You get so much. So just make sure you go to smite2.com, click on the Founders Edition up at the top, and become a founder today. And then I guess you can say you took part in the SMITE 2 Founders Series, whether you're here or not. But what we're looking at, again, Well, a whole tournament. Double elimination. Best of threes all day today. We've already done one. We're going into 2 of 4 here for Team Risk versus Smoke Break. But if we look at the bracket, of course, the schedule that kind of goes hand in hand with it, you'll see 5Ms waiting. That one's going to be, if I remember correctly, a best of 5 that they are sitting in. For the winner of this one, the loser of this one will face up against Mockingbird a little later on today. So Food Drive, Borscht, they're going to be actually, again, another really spicy matchup, NA versus NA. And I guess no matter what, we're going to get an EMEA versus EMEA. So Hazer, as long as I have you for those ones, I'm feeling like I'm at home.
Yeah, I'm feeling very at home. These are all players. I could be playing ranked with these guys day to day, probably losing, but having a good time. But yeah, it's really interesting to get the first day we get to see a lot of NA versus NA and EMEA versus EMEA. And then as the tournament goes on, we'll get to see these cross-region matchups that we love so much.
Yeah, and you'll see it. So next up, as we've mentioned, Smoke Break, Team Risk. And then it will be Food Drive for Globe taking on Borscht there, as you just saw in the bracket. And then the loser of this next one will play later versus Mockingbird. So Mockingbird, I mean, it may be like a dream scenario where you get to watch the drafts, the play style of literally every other team in the tournament before you have to go onto the stage at all.
Well, it is a bit of a scary place to be too, right? Because that is the loser's bracket.
Yeah, true.
Taking an L there does mean you are out of the tournament, and you don't want to be out of it at the end of the day.
Yeah, no, I mean, especially some of these guys are talking about going, and I think they did say hopeful winnings, so they at least came in with that expectation, but there was a lot of, cool, I'm going to win it and put it all on red. Like, I'm going to go out and see what we can do. But these are two teams that have just been phenomenal to watch. Risk dominating EMEA for most of the Founder Series. At most, we'll maybe get into for a little bit. But of course, if you know, maybe it's been a while. I mean, it has been a month since we've seen them. You need to catch up, figure out who they are. Well, here is who are Team Risk.
Hello, I'm Laspa. I'm the jungler for Team Risk.
And I'm the support for Team Risk, and I'm the team captain. After SMITE 1, the comp scene went away. Obviously, everyone's got their own takes of who was good and who was bad, and we've all played together before in different forms. Harry and Lass reached out to each other because they're really good friends, and I wasn't sure which roster I wanted to go with. So we had Streak and Big Man as a combo, and Lass and Harry. And the way that Lass facilitates the map is really good for a player like Jordan, and Harry and me are always a really good frontline combo. So I think that's from my point of view how we got together.
I think we just talked a little bit, me and Harry, and then we figured out that, you know, Sam was gonna play, and again, Streak and Big Man were combo, and then we just talked for like 5 minutes, and we decided we just log in the roster, and
Like that.
we basically scrim almost the same amount as we did in SMITE 1. But yeah, it's basically just scrimming like 3 hours and try to do like 5 times a week.
Honestly, for me, it's Streak Up. Streak Up is done such a good job of going from carry to facilitator. Last does the same thing as well for jungle, but I think those two together, as long as we've got one of them facilitating, it's just a really good mixture of the team.
I mean, I love playing with Big Man and Streak Up as a backline, and me and Harry played together before. I mean, I played with Genetics as well, so I'm just loving it, you know.
I'm excited to go to Vegas. I've been there before. I went there last year. Loved it. Went up $3,000. Ended up down a couple $100. So looking forward to doing the same again.
Yeah, I'm really excited to go to Las Vegas too. I've never actually been, and we also have all the boys and all the fans, and we get to meet everybody, and I'm so excited.
Our chances in the tournament are usually going to be really good. We've got a lot of people that have got a lot of tenure. We've got a lot of people that understand the game and can play in multiple different ways between Last and Streak Up. Best thing for us is going to be going to it with a good practice schedule, and I think we've got a really, really good chance.
For us to win, we need Genetics and Variety to step it up though. Too many deaths.
That's insane.
Just a bunch of jokers when you ask them questions, but Hazer, I mean, this was a team, you know, as mentioned, like, if you were watching EMEA and it was the open bracket phase, and then, well, you're watching Swiss, if you saw Risk on one side of the matchup, you kind of knew what the matchup outcome was going to be before the game started.
Exactly. I remember Smoke Break publicly complaining that they keep getting drawn against Team Risk during those early phases, and they kept losing. They're like, well, we'll have to go down to losers brackets. We'll have to play from there. We'll have to win. But you have to say the Team Risk that we saw at the qualification tournament coming into this, they've somehow ended up in the winners bracket, but that was not the Team Risk we know and love. I think Variety and Laspra had what some might I'll describe it as a shocker. A real shocker. They really struggled, and we're going to have to see what they've been putting together practice-wise in the break.
Yeah, that's, I think, the biggest thing, right? Because we even talked about it with them going into the Knockout LAN, where there was a lot of like, well, you know, sometimes you spend all of your weeks preparing, and it turns out what you came up with is wrong. and you know what you can do about that? You just hope that you learn really fast a day of or day after. Like you said, they're up in the winner's bracket, and you had mentioned earlier, since you're not down in the bottom yet, got a little bit of breathing room. But it was Smokebreak that delivered their first loss for them at that LAN as well. So trying to change things up. You've had a month to figure things out. So literally so much is different now. So it's going to be interesting to see how they come into this matchup. I'm really curious. I think they're still powerhouse, but you don't have to take it from me. We actually have Genetics standing by on the stage, ready for an interview.
That's right, Genetics support here alongside me on the main stage. Genetics, the desk talked about it a little bit. You spend some time now in the last, I guess, what, month or so preparing. The game has changed a lot. What's been the focus for your team leading into Vegas?
I think just making sure we've got more diversity in God pools, and if people start getting target banned out, then other people can, you know, abuse that, if you abuse the bans.
The opponents on the other side of the stage, you've run into once or twice. Already some matchup history between you two. What do you have to focus on to get a win against the guys on the other side?
We have to focus on the things that beat them the first 16 times in a row and stop doing the things that happened the last 3 games. But no, they're a really good team. Obviously, they changed with early on, so we had to adjust to that, and I think we've done that now.
What do you think has happened in those last 3 games?
They've just become the best team to ever exist in SMITE.
Understood. You to me, are a meta crafter, a theory crafter. This is really unique because you're stepping into the first tournament of SMITE 2 in a game that's constantly changing. Do you think this has been one of the more dynamic games and metas, trying to figure out what works, that you've been a part of?
Yeah, I mean, you could look at how the Scream team started in those last 2 games. If you watch it back, it's really interesting. And the aspects too are good as well. So hopefully we do some weird stuff, and it's quite interesting.
Talk to me about just the team in general. Obviously, 3 players from the Camelot Kings, Streak, Lasbra, now playing with you. How's the team dynamic been treating you over the last few months?
I mean, I think the best thing about us is that we're all pretty, like, we just speak the truth, and no one takes things the wrong way. So if someone's got a problem, they'll say it to someone's face, and then you just work through issues that way. That's why I like playing with European players. It's really good. So.
Good way to be. Final question: the slots in the video there. Did you win or lose?
I actually won $150 on that spin for the record. So.
$150 up, and hopefully a win in the bag. Genetics, I appreciate it, and best of luck.
If he's got that kind of luck, maybe there's a good chance it's going to carry you.
I don't know.
That's a pretty good feeling to have coming into a tournament day. That being said, after seeing that, Team Risk, to me, maybe seems like they might be at risk of taking those winnings and going out there and seeing where they go.
Very possible.
It is going to be really fun, though. Again, this team, despite the, well, I guess you can't say despite the most recent performance, because it was the most recent performance. That's what we remember.
Mm-hmm.
Outside of that most recent performance, were the most dominant, but the team that took them from the most dominant to issuing their first loss, giving them a lot of trouble, well, it was Smokebreak on the other side of this. That's the thing I think that is really interesting to this, because Lermy, like, these guys, they even came into the last LAN with, like, roster swaps. Like,
yeah.
They were not in this powerhouse position. They were in this, well, you know what? Hey, guys, third was pretty cool. We'll see what we can do. They have done so much, though, in all that time, and of course to improve, and they looked really solid when we saw them there during the Knockout LAN. But if you're looking at who is here, who's playing, and who is Smokebreak, well, I've got good news for you. It's a quick little video.
Hello, I'm Yikron, and I'm the carry and the captain of Smokebreak.
And my name is Benko. I'm the solo laner for Smokebreak. So as this current team, the current version, with SAP and everything, I think it's been 2 months-ish.
I mean, I think it's matching really well, actually. Like, he has good vibes. The playstyle is matching with our playstyle. Like, everything is good, like, just good vibes, having fun, playing well, clicking well.
So playing with Elion, what I thought was immediately kind of interesting and really cool, fun to play with, is that it almost didn't even feel like we had a sub. And I think he also fits in kind of like a hole we had, like some kind of weak spot that we would have as a team before. Well, I think the standout player is me.
Yeah, it's probably
I mean,
you.
I
mean, we're kind of.
I'm just insane.
We're really balanced, honestly. Like, I think, but yeah, maybe that guy.
Just when I lock in during these LANs, you know, I feel unstoppable, and I'm really happy with how I play with Johnny. Like me and him, I feel like are just the best solo jungle at this LAN. So yeah, I mean, me.
This is the first time I'm going to Vegas, yeah.
It's my first time as well going to Vegas, and oh my god, am I excited about Vegas! The thing is, I would even love going there just as like a spectator or even a coach or whatever. You know, Vegas just seems like it's probably on my list of like top 5, top 10 places to visit. You know, and another thing is Vegas is, you know, kind of casino central, and I've never been into a real casino like that. You know, so I might have to spend win big.
I think winning the whole thing, every team has probably the chance of like winning it. I'm not scared. I think we could do it. Like, if I have to tell a percentage, let's say 50.
We're probably gonna lose, I think. But on the bright side, there's a loser bracket. Us as players are quite smart and think a lot about the game. So even if we go into the Vegas LAN with the wrong meta or maybe just like some wrong picks or whatever, we will learn quick. So I think it's really nice that we have a loser bracket. So we might lose, but then we bring it back, I think. And it's probably gonna look good.
Say what you want about him. Benko keeps it real. Who do you think's the best? Me. It's me. Like, I'm the best player on our team. I think me and Johnny are better than everybody. Like, and then immediately into, yeah, we're probably gonna lose. Just a good little 1-2 punch from Benko, but it tells a lot, I think, of the personality that Smokebreak brings into the event.
Yeah, definitely. I think the personality of the team really does end up contributing a lot to that team factor, right? You get a lot of synergy, especially them coming into the previous LAN with the sub of Elion is a very, very important factor. And the fact that they did perform so well in that particular matchup, I think does go to show that they do have a lot to prove here.
Yeah, that was the thing that was, I think, really interesting. Leon teams in the past, like he's known to be a shot caller, but you were joining a team that had shot caller, and I feel like one of the biggest balancing checks, especially when you have multiple people who are going to be making a call, is like, if mine's too aggressive, you're going to yell at me, no, stop. And I feel like that's kind of what helped temper some of those, is they found the playstyle that has really matched them. Like they said, I guess, fill a hole that was missing for the team, and it looks really good. And now, you know, joining them fresh a month ago, you've actually got practice with this team. You've got to spend time with them. So to find out how not just Smokebreaker are feeling, but how El Leon is feeling, we've got him standing by on the stage for an interview.
El Leon support for his squad standing by with me on the stage. You got to walk me through this a little bit, because we heard from Genetics. They went on like a 4-month win streak, didn't lose anything. You guys come in, end that win streak. Yet Benko over there saying, we're going to lose. You think you got what it takes to dethrone these guys once again?
Benko's a humble man, but there's only one reason to come to Vegas, and it's to win money.
That's right, and you got a chance. The crowd's loving it as well. What do you think worked so well last time? The game has changed a lot since then. Do you think you can play a similar style game here today?
I think there's going to be a lot of new strategies. As you can see, the last game, I mean, the game's all over the place, which is very exciting, and we're just going to cook up some stuff here.
The support dynamic has changed as well, and we talked about how Genetics is sort of a theory crafter. What role do you feel like you play in helping this team establish a meta? Is it a team of equal voices? You think you're the main drawer of meta? How does that work out?
I think it's equal voices all around. We're all just trying to, you know, enable each other. But at the end of the day, I think we've cooked up some good stuff, and we're going to see if they're going to be ready for it.
You talked to me in the break. You have played on a variety of teams, and you're sort of a Swiss Army knife of sorts. You fit in where the team needs you. But you've said this is one of the most unique teams you've played against. What do you mean by that?
I have never in my support career been able to just go solo and clear waves while they win me the game. So that feels good.
I didn't catch it in the B-roll. Did you guys have to play any slots during your pre-match video?
We did lose, which is unfortunate. We're going to try to make it back right now.
That's right. So do you think them winning slots, you losing slots, that means you're due, right?
For Dew to win here.
That's how it works here in Vegas. Final thoughts on the opponents on the other side of the stage. What are you focused on? What do you need to do to win?
Respect the team a lot, but like I said, there's only one thing to do here. Just win money.
That's right, LAN. Appreciate it. Best of luck. Back to the desk.
I mean, he says it better than I think I could put it. There's one thing to do here, and that's the focus, I think, for every single squad. But to hear the confidence I think everybody has, and at the very end, and Lermy, this is a big thing, I think, coming into this LAN specifically, because the meta is so different, there's kind of a coin toss. Like, hey, did we prepare the right things? Are we playing aspects on the right god? Not playing them on the right gods? Are we playing the right gods? Like, there's a lot in SMITE 2 that now you have to really be aware of.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, the aspects are one of the most important things for these teams to keep track of. We saw a lot of chalk in the last set show
And
up
to play
in mid.
chalk, you coward sign just now.
So maybe more chalk is on the table. You know, that surprised me personally. But honestly, I like the idea of all of these teams getting a little crazy with their picks because, again, like you said, we're coming into a meta where a lot is unknown. So much has changed between aspects, a lot of god bounce. We've got a partially new map with a lot of new mechanics in it as well. And all of these things combine to really create this exciting new choice for all of these teams to bring in all the stuff that they've practiced and then adjust from there, as we've seen. And I think if any team's going to adjust, I do think Smoke Break has a really good chance to
Well,
be
we'll
flexible
find
with
out,
it.
because this time, picks and bans. Game 1, Smoke Break and Risk, EMEA powerhouses, the one that was number 1, and then the one that became number 1 facing each other. Hazer, now it's my turn to do what Inbound did and steal the joke that you made, which is 3 bans and Aladdin, typically at the bottom. Aphrodite has been pretty popular down there. But is there anything, I guess outside of that, we've talked about the Wool. Apparently Zeus is deserving. That's the second time a Zeus ban has come through. Do you have anything else that maybe stands out to you as a must ban?
I think Uller and Medusa are the interesting ones. We've seen Medusa banned in every single game so far, I think. Hasn't managed to get through.
Wow.
Oh.
But we have finally broken the prophecy. 3 bans and an Aladdin, not this
Wisdom
time.
and strategy
And
are
it
better
won't be
defenses
picked.
than shields and
Athena,
armor.
top pick. I wonder if this is the case. This can sometimes happen when a god is regarded as very, very strong, overpowered. You don't get to practice it. You don't get the comfort
True.
on it. And it messes up your draft strategy when it gets through. I wonder if that's the case here for Team Risk. But it doesn't get picked by Smoke Break either.
And I'm going to admit, if we go an entire game where he doesn't get picks, I'll be floored because I don't think we're going to get to see him at all this
That's
week.
going to change a lot. If he doesn't get picked here, it might just be regarded as a choice, again, like Hazer was saying, a little too risky to bring out here. But we talked about before, this is still the upper bracket. If you want to test the waters with the Aladdin, you could do it.
Especially like at game 1, right? You've got a little more leeway right here. Although starting off an event right, there's maybe a discussion to be had there. Jingwei, Nuwa get locked in as well. Hazer, both of those gods. I mean, Nuwa, I think I even heard someone yelling at some point, "Get her out of my game." Maybe that was yesterday during a playtest, but it was maybe some contest around her. Feels like they've got some powerhouse, good setup, good follow.
Yeah, really, really strong backline in terms of safety. Jing and Nuwa both going to be able to go back up into the sky if they get dived and stay alive, maybe keeping them safe from this Thanatos and this Fenrir that we're looking to dive on the other side. An interesting thing to think about here is, where is the Thana going and where is the Fenrir going? We've seen a lot of Thana in solo lane in ranked over the last little while, and I'm wondering if that could be heading over there, where it will be facing off against this Bellona picked up by Team Risk.
Yeah, if the Ymir wasn't there, it'd be at least a little easier. Gonna throw a wrench in there. Something I have been excited. Umoja locked in. Obligatory genetics on Umoja is like there. I think yesterday we were playtesting a little bit. I locked into Umoja and I said I'm one of 6 people in the world that would ever do this. It was me, Hazer, genetics, and like 3 other guys that are way better at Smite than me. But this is something. I mean, Lermy, that is genuinely something to be feared.
Oh, for sure. But the one thing that I'm looking at here in this composition is the Athena first pick. Umoja at the bottom means that that's almost certainly support.
Yep.
Is this an Athena jungle? And if so, are we seeing Aspect Athena?
I don't know if we'll see the Aspect. We saw Johnny run this a little bit coming into this tournament. We've seen it in the jungle a couple times, and it's looked really, really strong. It's not something that I would associate Johnny's normal playstyle with.
Yeah.
He's sort of a Kali, Thor, hyper carry your game, kill everybody, get pentakills back in Smite 1. But in Smite 2, he seems to have become a little bit more flexible. He seems to have become a bit more of a facilitator for his team. I personally am a fan of the Athena without the aspect of the jungle, but we'll see. Maybe he will opt to do that and ult to his enemies rather than his allies.
Yeah, it's like, do you want to be friendly or do you want to kill a dude? It's one or the other. Lermy, I know you've also been a pretty big fan, at least of playing this Cupid a ton. I feel like, you know, I got to talk about it a little bit, but like having some healing on your team, even though Cupid's not going to be like the crazy, impressive amounts that like Aphrodite's going to bring. Yeah. It's still going to help out, plus a lot of good team fight capability.
Oh, certainly. I mean, I'm a little bit biased here because I did happen to work on Cupid, but I do think that the new Cupid has so many different +1s, you could say, that help to contribute to him being that good healer. He's got the heal on the ultimate now, as well as a bunch of extra effects coming in from those hearts. It really does make him that more kind of flexible character to help kind of facilitate the Thanatos popping off, or the Fender, or even the Hakata in the backline.
Well, the only way to get things settled is to go into game number 1 here with our casters.
Thank you so much, Goremizer. I'm here with Inbound. Jorby and Inbound going to be taking you through the action, and we got through the picks and bans stage. Inbound, you got a lot of opinions here, namely Aladdin not banned and not picked.
It's a disaster. I was so excited to talk about Aladdin, the new characters, the new kid on the block. I was excited to talk about a bunch of different things about him. Unfortunately, not able to. But right there, the aspect of vindication on Lasber on this Athena. Now let me talk to you about this combination that we will see. The Nuwa will give you vision for Lasber to be able to ult to anyone. So if you get out of a fight, 1 health, and you're running away, you better back immediately because that Nuwa ult is going to be coming. You'll have vision then, and then Lasber can ult to you. It's one of the few scenarios where I do think Lasber's ult is worth to be in this this aspect. I really do like it with this combo. Outside of it, not a fan, but I like how they worked it into that. And then comboing that Benko in solo lane also going for this aspect on Thana. No longer will he have those heals off of his passive. He now gets stacking health. So if you know Benko gets a little hot, farms really well, gets a couple solo kills, this is going to be a very hard to kill Thanatos.
We'll see how things pan out for them, but we saw a lot of invades in that first match of the day. A lot of that early game, the first minute or so, you see a lot of action, but this time, very standard start for both sides. And remember, the Knockout LAN smoke break kind of shocked us all when they took down Team Risk. And we heard Genetics talk about it as well, that, yeah, you know, they got the last 3, but they also have Elion now, who came in and really kind of, I think, reforged everybody's opinion and look of the smoke break roster.
Yeah, and it reinvigorated the team, I think. We had a really low for smoke break. They made it here, obviously. They made it to the last LAN. But they really didn't expect to do too much. A lot of people didn't have expectations for them. A lot of teams thought Team Risk was going to be the best. But I think Elion just gives them this direction. It gives them another lane to play through. I think you talk about Benko and Johnny teams, you never worry about the solo side of the map. Benko's always fine, Johnny's always fine. You heard it from Benko himself, the best solo jungle in the game. And quite frankly, I tend to agree, they're phenomenal.
You gotta love that kind of confidence as well, but Elion is in a bit of trouble. We'll get out of it. I mean, also on the relics, we're typically used to seeing so much blink. You actually see almost beads across the board, at least for Team Risk, against a comp that definitely has a lot of CC attached to it. And blink not going to be available for them to help them get out of tough spots. It's going to make fights that much more important as you don't have that get out of jail free card.
And I think when we look at a game like this, Team Risk versus Smoke Break, I think side lanes are going to be the highlight. Feeks and Sap really just look to farm. They're not really going to be involved too early, but Lasber likes to get involved. Johnny can get involved. He's also like a hyper carry. Both of the junglers are kind of, you know, hit 5 and then that's when you make plays. Don't expect too many things prior to that. But on the dual lane side of things, Smoke Break, Cupid and Ymir is a kill lane. They want to fight early, often, and they want to take those 2v2s as much as they can. And you're playing this Jingwei Yemoja 2v2. Jingwei's no real worry. Jingwei's going to be fine. Oh, that was close. Benko forces that blink out, does get out alive. I am still very worried about duo side of the map, Elion, Ikram getting that early lead, going for those purple buff invades, and just snowballing up that.
But Bologna's seeing also more of an uptick. We didn't see her picked at all during the Founders Series. The Knockout LAN completely absent. But like we've been saying a lot, you know, the last month, a lot has changed.
And it comes down to aspects, Jorby. These aspects change how characters play. It makes Bologna a little less scary as a 1v1 character. Her 2 damage is down, but she has more team potential with the 1 and the 3 that now proc for her teammates. It's a different way to play her, And if you think about Bologna, not a character you really play around your team too much with, but it makes sense. You have the ultimate for protections and power. You have a TP here by Genetics.
Johnny in the box as well at 3v2.
Johnny's 5, he's fine.
Will at least get out of it. Ragnarok still available as well, but meanwhile, Thanatos getting a little bit of harassment. Variety happy to box as much as possible. Johnny still looking. Has the brutalize, has to ult to get out of it. Variety was in big trouble.
And Genetics is forced to stop his back there because he has to sustain Variety up so he's not dove by the Thanatos. That execute is still there. You still have that exact same threat. And Benko is still getting those stacks online. And we compare how Thanatos plays with and without his aspect. With this aspect, he's allowed to go a damage item early and still have a little bit more survivability because he has those permanent max health stacks. Now it's going to make it so, you know, Variety has the option to match that damage with more damage, but that means there's a lot of lethality over in the Soul Lane. So maybe Lasbra and Johnny are going to play over there often. Maybe you've seen more TPs with both Genetics and Elion.
It was a nice little cheeky riptide from Genetics to make sure they got that side camp. And it seems like this is what's going on in both of these matches. A lot of posturing, a lot of fights early on, and where in the first 5 minutes in most games before LAN inbound, we're seeing like 2 or 3 kills up on the board. They're starting to rack up, but here we're seeing that focus on farm, that focus on surviving and getting the best advantage you can.
And I think it comes down to, this is a brand new game compared to what they were playing last. There's a bunch of new things. These side camps are brand new. And so far, Benko's been hot on these to get these stacks. And then we have aspects. We have a bunch of camp changes. And highlighted there, the Boomba schedule, I think is a really good shout out. This is now allowing Benko to farm those jungle camps a little bit more efficiently. But it does just change a lot of how the game is played. You'll see, I mean, we have 3 Bumbas on one side, 2 on the other. We didn't see it a ton last game. I guess the ADCs went them last game. But it switches how you'll play in these lanes.
Now, so far, it is just a camp fest, if you will. We're trying to get their fires lit, but Benko takes a look and misses the Death Scythe. Variety will get out of it. That solo lane will be an interesting one, as we know how fast you can actually farm. Karmic had showed it last game with how quickly he was able to get to like level 17 or 18.
Yeah, and it's a good shout where sometimes you don't have to win this 1v1. Bologna's one of the best 1v1 characters you can play, but Benko's not too interested in actually fighting this 1v1. He's just trying to get that permanent health stack. I'm thinking about this duo lane where, you know, we expect this Ymir Cupid to be fighting early and often. Genetics and Streak, though, are both level 5, and they've made it through.
Oh, Variety in trouble,
Pistol.
avoids the hovering death, but you're still gonna get caught by Ragnarok.
Athena.
Johnny with the first blood. Lasbra will make sure they get some sort of trade out of it, and Benko will go down.
And just a 1v1, or 1-for-1 there. Fine for both teams, but these are both full damage solo laners over here. Serrated on both of them. There is a lot of threat over here. And if you think about it, you don't really even need the vision onto Benko. If Deeks just wants to drop ult, and you know, maybe Benko's a little too low, Lasper has that go button to just send the ult over there. You just need vision, and Duo ult provides that. And you look on the opposite side, Duo side, something that I want to highlight. You've made it through the early game. You're both level 5. The threat's there. But it's still, you're so safe. Jinwei's so safe, Yamotru's so safe, and they can turn it too.
They actually get, yeah, they get turned. And Elion has to pull off. We thought maybe they had it with the Fields of Love. It was down, but the River's Rebuke zoned them out. And a nice play by Team Risk to hold that duo lane. Real duo fight seems to be happening over in solo. Pretty quiet over there right now as Benko is invading the blue.
Yeah, the junglers do like sitting on this side of the map. And Benko, knowing blue buff timer, knowing red buff timer, he's able to get both of these. You have the damage to quickly clear. But something I want to talk about quickly on the duo side of the map is this is now the second time we've seen Jinwei's go for this Lernaean bow. It's the anti-heal item option. It does provide a little bit of utility. Jinwei's not a character that really needs much utility. She's more of a hyper carry character. You get to that late game, you one-shot. I think this just allows... I mean, I don't love it, to be fair. I do not love the Lernaean bow. I prefer just either lifesteal or I prefer going into some early crit, braggies, items like that. I like Ekrum's braggies. It does allow you to, you know, anti-heal a little bit, which, I mean, you look on the other side, the anti-heal's not really there. Benko's got a little bit, Johnny a little bit, but it's not enough to make me want to have that on my Jinwei. I want damage out of my hyper carry. I do not want this much utility.
Well, open the gates, comes out. Not going to find the mark, though. And smoke break, Team Risk. They still continue to stand across the aisle at each other, wondering which one is going to bend first. Stop looking at the other. Going to get caught here a little bit. Heckany dodging around with the ult coming through. And just getting trapped out. Yamoja zones it out. Lasbro will pick up the kill, and Sap goes down. Not sure he could do much more about it after the ult goes down.
a bit of a strange play there by Sap. Nobody else of his team was really around. He looks for the ultimate, he misses it. And then he just stays in jungle for a little bit longer, enough for Team Risk to get that rotation there, cut off his entrance back into lane, and then he's just taken down. He doesn't have that blink, he doesn't have that beads, that Aegis to really survive a lot longer. He went for the Shell, which, granted, Shell late game, triple Shell late game that they have opted for, will be very hard to dive into. But at this point, that Shell value is not too great.
Yeah, only really delayed the inevitable. Team Risk finding some good pushes forward. We talk about the duo lane on this side. Smokebreak aren't getting that value that they were hoping for with the Cupid Ymir so far. That one push we saw got completely countered by that Rivers Rebuke. And the duo lane is slowed down for now. Meanwhile, everyone trying to posture up, and you see the charts as Doug is taking us through the action of the game. Meanwhile, a little bit of boxing happening for Variety. Has the hammer, drops it down, but Johnny comes back to assist, and every single ult from Variety is in retreat. Ragnarok will grab, hovering Death up, but it will abandon it as they couldn't get Variety out of tower.
And is this not night and day from the Variety we saw at the last tournament? Last tournament, Variety was dying 6 times a laning phase. This time, full damage Bologna. He's going for the more team fight-oriented aspect also. And he's still fighting pretty evenly. Caught the dash right there. No ult for Benko either, or for Johnny either. Still gonna be getting out, but you have to highlight how much better Variety is playing today than he did on that last LAN tournament. And I think there is a thing with Team Risk. Variety, Genetics, Lazra. These are some players that evolve on LAN. Can, you know, and Deeks even too is another one that can. Streak is kind of that question mark. He's really not played in this stage in front of a bunch of people. He's playing Jingwei. He's doing his job so far. There's no issue with it so far. But maybe going into those later portions of the game, we've seen a couple Jingweis so far, you know, push a little bit too far forward. We saw a Cyclone, you know, maybe play a little bit too aggressively, have that safety, but not use it that well. I'm a little worried with that with Streak because you don't have that pass. You don't have that playing in front of a crowd, you know, history.
Streak, so far so good. Really comes down to that late game. I mean, we saw what Cyclone Spin was doing. Late game, absolutely disgusting on the Jingwei. And funny with some of the ADCs that get added, you know, Jingwei still seems to remain that favorite pick. Just that all of that mobility just gives her so much versatility, like you've been talking about. And we are still kind of dancing around short. You know, there's been 3 picks, or 1 trade and then 1 pick on Sap. But ever since then, you know, it's just, where can we find a slight advantage? Even when we rotate on the jungle, Variety has his ult. He's able to get away. No one's really able to catch anybody out. Sap was the only one who did. And there's a lot of action looking like a posturing over here towards that Gold Fury on the left side.
Pyro also done, maybe looking like a trade here. Smokebreak is on that. Only Theeks could know at this point.
They go off a gold. They do seem to stick on that Pyro, but there is presence from Team Risk there as well. Linking it back, they actually just go for the kill it. Sap takes down Theeks, and you'll absolutely take it for Smokebreak.
And that's just, you know, we're going to pull this. We're not going to take much damage to this. This is what Johnny on this Fenrir is allowed to do. Just allowed to just permanently pull it, slowly get it lower. And if Deeks goes too far forward, you can look for that all-in kill. And you look at Johnny's build right now. This kin size. This is not like a Sap here. It's not a unique build. Actually, potential fight here, no. Rotation here by Streak on the opposite side, though. Ekrom is able to just solo farm as they send that rotation there. They also lose the objective, so a nice little macro play there by Smokebreak. But back to Fenrir's build. Kid size Fenrir, not a normal Fenrir build at all. I think usually you see a lot of cooldown, usually you see a lot of ability-based.
A little bit of trouble. Get a little bit of help, but not as much as you were hoping for. Lasbra happy to chase it down.
Dash.
You have your buff as well that gives you the speed. Might get out of it. Rivers Rebuke up to try to zone them out. Elion is not going to leave this Gold Fury until it drops to them. Lasbra got the kill. And there you go, Team Risk, take it away. Genetics and Streak will leave with their lives and some gold.
And Benko dies on the opposite side. Also, that's a disaster play for Smokebreak. You don't send that rotation, you pull that Gold Fury, and you lose on both sides. Not what you wanted to see. Lasbra's now in a phenomenal spot on this Athena. He's getting that damage online, he's getting that survivability online, and now he's that threat where he can dash taunt and not be insta-killed. And that's kind of that unique spot you want to get to as an Athena jungle. You get to that unique spot where you can actually dash taunt and threaten while not dying.
Well, hang on a second. Streak was doing a lot of damage, but the wall catches Genetics and he gets speared into it. And now Fields of Love to help protect the retreat for Ekrom and company. Elion
Stampede
also going to get out of it. They will survive for now. Team Risk push the issue here. Theeks with the minions up. You thought with Streak, he was putting out a lot of damage against Ekrom, who had barely gotten out. He had needed 2 gods to help him escape, and it still almost wasn't enough. This duo lane seems to be getting more and more dangerous for Smokebreak as time goes on.
I think with SMITE 2, you know, the more patches we get, the more exciting it is to watch what supports are building. And at this point, Stampede, standout item. This is an item where as soon as you pop it, you get a bunch of movement speed slowly decaying, and it provides you CC immune, slow immunity. When you look at both sides of the comp, I mean, Variety really only has the ult for CC. You have Lasbra's dash taunt. If you Stampede, you gain that distance. There's really not a ton of engage on the side of Team Risk outside of Lasbra. Maybe there's a slight worry because Yamoja ult is something you can use, but you're going to shell that. Yes, Variety could ult in, but you never really want to start fights with a Bellona ult. So it's really on Lasbra to hit a dash taunt. Otherwise, there's really not much Team Risk to do. So maybe a little bit of a worry when it comes to those later game fights. How is Team Risk going to look for something? Maybe they have to try to find a pick. Dash caught.
Now has to
Ekrom's
wait.
Done. He's done.
Yeah, Defender of Olympus, more like Siege of Olympus. Genetics will make sure you stay in place. There's nowhere to run. Genetics gets credit for the kill, and Ekrom, you had your chance. That dash, though, getting stunned out, you called it. But, you know, with that Stampede, especially with the way SMITE 2 goes, with so many gods having so many, so much utility in escaping, you need that chase down potential, right? So having it, Variety just straight up doozy-does around the freeze. And that puts Elion on the defensive.
Sap is level 17. Wait. Sap is up a level, and he was the one that died in that earlier portion of the game.
Got the pick later, though.
He did get the pick later. But even being up a level and a half is crazy after that death.
Got another ult from Variety. Down to escape. We come over right before that happened. Johnny will get out again. A lot of that attention. They haven't really been able to lock down Variety the way that they've wanted to.
And with this new patch, we've seen the ADC items kind of evolve. Sunbeam Bow dominated last meta. Now we don't really see a ton of healing. Actually, a lot of damage. He's dead. He's dead.
Oh, yeah. Wall into the wave. You're not going to survive it. Theeks will get credit for the kill. Pyromancer still up for grabs. Will be dropped actually by Smokebreak. They steal it.
How did he get that?
I don't know. Sap, you just, you know, that's heckin'. He just drops it, walks away, gets credit for everything.
Phenomenal play. I mean, it makes that trade, well, I mean, it's not really a trade, but it makes Elion dying not feel as bad because you do at least secure that bomb, and it's something that Johnny's able to pick up. This is, you know, the farther we go into the meta, the more we're going to see the game evolve. But at this point, ADCs aren't building lifesteal. I think that's somewhat exploitable for both of these teams. I mean, more so on the side of Smokebreak, not having a ton of heal for Ekrom except the Cupid, and actually he's getting ulted by Athena again. He caught his dash.
He dashed out of the Fields of Love, though, and now you're trapped with nowhere to run. Lasbra takes you down. Elion is here. Can he do anything about it? No, the wall will actually help out Genetics. They'll get the buffs. They'll get to run out. But he dashed out of the ult before Athena came down.
Yeah, and this is just 2 times now where Ekrom is just getting caught out not having a shell available. They have shell on Johnny, Sap, and Elion. Ekrom opted for beads. You know, maybe you're feeling a little bit better with a shell here to actually have that. I mean, what are you worried about if you go beads? It's obviously dash taunt for Athena. I think I'm more worried about the emoji ult. I think I'd prefer to go shell, maybe have Elion go an earlier Talisman of Purification, or go in at all because he's opted for a more selfish item in this Xerxes Hexstone. I just don't like it by Ekrom. I prefer shell.
Another ult to escape just to sit under tower. Johnny's been paying respects over here to Variety, and while, sure, he's not just inting in like we saw him doing in previous tournaments.
Much better.
It's still got to be frustrating to feel like there's never been a chance for you to really push outside of one play that you had where you could finally get Benko locked down. But Johnny's been really paying a lot of attention over there, trying to help Benko get those health stacks like you've been talking about. So important for him to be online.
And this is even with Benko kind of getting, you know, killed a couple of times. No ult here. I think if Variety does get stunned there, there is maybe potential for all in there. The worry here, though, you know, if Johnny goes for that all in, you always have to have in the back of your mind, where is Athena going to be ulting if I make this play? If Johnny goes in there, you know, looks for the ultimate, goes for the all in there, Lasbra's landing, it's now a 2v1. This aspect is still very good for 1v1s into 2v1s. It just changes a little bit elsewhere.
Gold Fury. Looks like it won't be contested. Team Risk get the free gold. That helps extend the lead just a little bit more, just on 4K now for the gold lead.
And this is a slow burn game where Team Risk is just win here, and I think the biggest highlight is so far Variety just not dying in this solo lane. He has been ganked 6-7 times by Johnny, and he just...
He's an 8th.
I mean, this was not even Johnny. The support's kind of coming over to make a play on the Variety also. And it's because you have that execute threshold. You don't have to get the Variety to 0. You get them to 35%, 30%, depending on how many points in the ultimate. And then you just have a free kill. But Variety's playing very smart. You know, last LAN, Variety looked to proxy a lot. You know how many times he's proxied this game? Not a single one. It's because he knows he's getting ganked. He's playing much smarter. And you have to highlight how well he's playing.
On the other side of the map, too, I mean, Team Risk are taking advantage of that, right? On both sides, it's worked well for them. Early in this game, you thought Smoke Break, they found a couple of picks. They were finding a little bit more on the map. But Team Risk now dominating on the objective front. Did have the steal on the Pyromancer from Smoke Break, sure, but it hasn't really amounted to much for them.
And with his spawning again, no Ekrom here. He's looking to rotate now. He does not push the wave. So it looks like we're just going to be 5v5 grouping over here for both teams looking to pull this Pyro.
Maybe Smoke Break just give it to them. 2 players over in the mid lane on Smoke Break. They'll go right after the Pyro goes down. See Elion throw the wall up. An isolation play. Johnny jumps in as well. The River's Rebuke forces the shell. Have to get out of there, but they're still going to commit for it. As Theeks came in to provide some fog and provide some cover. Team Risk will actually break out of that. This dance when the right jungle continues. Smoke Break don't look like they want to fight.
And I like how Team Risk played that. They played it a little bit slower, you know, see if somebody walks up. And when they got it low enough, they looked for that full commit. And they're playing around the Emoja healing very well. She's got that Life Finder also. She's got a couple different shields, a couple different heals. I like how they play it slower. Now, I think once you get some crit online, I expect Streak to go crit item next. There is going to be a lot more threat around Fire Giant. However, even before that, Smoke Break's pulling.
They want to get it. That health is dropping fast. Genetics.
Streak's too far.
Trying to get around it. Fields of Love out
50,
as well.
50.
It's still dropping. Getting it down. The portal is open. And there you go. Team Risk. Get it. Now Streak just wants to delete everybody. Johnny leaps out. Streak keeps on pumping the shots through. 2 dead. Airstrike. Chasing it down. Sap opens the gates and gets 3 and maybe gets out. No, ports back in. Whoa, oh no. Streak says thank you very much, Sap. That's a free kill.
And that's only Genetics going down there for that Fire Giant, also getting a triple with it. And Benko left that fight rather early. Benko got out. He did not even want to take that fight. He went and farmed. And that's just a disaster fight by Smoke Break. They pull it. They don't do enough damage to it quick enough. They just don't have that crit online. Yes, they have this Fraggies. Yes, they have the OD bow, but they cannot shred it fast enough. And I think it was really good ultimates there by Genetics, really good ultimates there by Theeks also, just to slow it down a little bit. And then Streak just gets there just in time. Streak is the one that stole that, and he was the one that was coming out of base.
This is a completely different Team Risk than the one we saw at the Knockout LAN. One we were even wondering, like, how much are they going to struggle once they get here, with the emphasis on the game being completely different than it was a month ago. And Team Risk knowing the enemy that they play with Elion on this team now. And so far, they haven't really struggled that much. They got out of that first 10 minutes where the scales were kind of tipping both ways for a little bit. Now the weight is starting to fall on one side here for Team Risk.
And at this point, falling behind to a Emoja comp, I'm really worried for how Smoke Break is even going to defend here. I mean, your one real threat is Thanatos ult, but I mean, you have Lifefinder sustain, you have the Emoja sustain, and I think one of the best team fighting late game players on the Emoja is Genetics. He's really smart at baiting out abilities, making you think you can take the fight, and then he baits you so far forward that you then get ulted by him. I think this is a worry spot for Smoke Break. I think you might have to just give a lot of these towers and try to just get as many towers on the opposite side. I like Ekrom being in right lane and splitting, but I'd almost rather have him go for that tier 1, get to that level 20, get that Boomba spike, a little bit more damage in your kit, because you're not defending this tier 2, and I don't think you even want to defend the Phoenix. This is a bad fight for them.
Oh, Benko takes a little look, does hit a death scythe, but like you said, what are you going to do about it? Everybody else's follow-up is too slow. Riptide to chase him down, and Thanatos a little too speedy to catch that easily. Genetics just going to sit and see what information he can gather here. The front of Smoke Break's jungle. Benko just hung around too long. Open the gates to try to help, but it doesn't matter. Theeks takes down Benko, and Team Risk continue to snowball.
And I hate it. I don't know why Benko's there. Now you're going to lose this middle Phoenix.
And Phoenix will drop instantly. River's Rebuke up as well. Everybody pulls back towards that Titan variety. We've seen him retreat, but survive, and now he finally pushes the issue. Ekrom trying to handle him. Johnny will get credit on the kill for Lasbra, who was trying to find him, and that aspect ends up killing him.
I think Lasbra ulted the wrong person there. I think he missed the ult on who he was trying to hit.
That's tough.
Hitting Fenrir, who's just going to jump to the fountain, is just a disaster. I mean, it's an unfortunate play, but Jorby, it doesn't matter. They broke the base, and now that they can back up, they can spend their gold, even get Pyro on the way out. It's not slowing down this Team Risk team at all. This is a team that scales into the late game. You have this Jing Wei, you have this Nuwa, you have the Emoja. Yeah, is Lasbra on this Athena one of the best late game characters in the game? Not really, but that's not his job. His job is just to be an engaged character. And also, I really don't know how they're going to deal with Variety on the dive. I think if he goes in, as long as Variety plays around, you know, the CC, just okay. I don't think they can kill him. He has too much sustain. Bologna 3, the Death Embrace, serrated, so much sustain there. I don't think they can kill him. I think this is just a disaster, losing that Phoenix for Smoke Break.
Yeah, the thresholds haven't been on their side. They were hoping that Benko could start stacking it, get Variety a little low, like you were saying. That hasn't been successful. They haven't been successful anywhere else on the map. You talked about the Ymir Cupid having to be aggressive, and they weren't aggressive at all in that first 10 minutes. They got no value out of that early on.
Yeah, they played towards solo side because they saw, you know, Variety had that serrated. I though agree. I think maybe Johnny should have played towards the Ymir and towards the Cupid. And I don't like Sap's build too much at this point either. You really don't have the intelligence. You have the penetration online. He has double penetration, but where's your intelligence coming from? I mean, your starter's giving you a little bit, but Soul Gem, Gem of Focus, more utility. Totem is a little bit of just penetration mostly. Obshard penetration. He's going to need a 5th, 6th item just to actually threaten Variety, threaten Genetics, and then just the sustain through. This is just not where Smoke Break wants to be.
Would you rather see like a Spirit Desolation? I mean, obviously.
Rod?
Yeah, Rod and Tahuti. A lot of options for sure, but the options are dwindling for Smoke Break. You had your chances early on, you couldn't capitalize on them. And Team Risk looked much more like that team that won 16 straight matches.
And I think this is a Fire Giant you have to give, because if you lose this Fire Giant right here, you lose the game. I do think there is a break point for Smoke Break in a little bit where Sap gets another item online, Ekrom gets another item online, and they actually have the damage to fight. But I don't think this is a fight you want to take. You're down way too much. You can't kill anyone with this emoji here.
Look like they might want to force it. Elion
He's
got the
just
front
dead.
and his health bar. You might as well not even have any defense items. Open the gates. Who are you going to get? Doesn't matter. Nuwa pops the ult. A lot of damage off the table. Johnny has the Ragnarok. Theek's in trouble, goes down. Benko also kills Streak, and all of a sudden, Smoke Break's found a way to turn this around, but here comes Variety. They have to account for it. Variety is huge in this situation. Johnny doesn't care. Brutalize comes out, still poking him. Has the leap. Defel just got out of that one with the rally call. Elion barely surviving. How in the world are you alive?
Smoke Break, I was unfamiliar with your game. I don't know what just happened right there. They just dominated that fight. Theeks gets taken down, Streak dies, and there was just no peel on the backline. I don't know what Genetics was doing there, but he was not with Theeks. Theeks is just getting soloed out by Johnny. Now Smoke Break can threaten this Fire Giant.
Benko found another isolation play as well, but now he gets isolated.
Last-
Death Sight has to stay alive. Talisman, but there's no escape for Lasbra. Ekrom gets the kill, and Smoke Break are turning it around.
And that's just another clean pick. A little bit of a worry here with how low they're getting. Variety and Genetics are here, and Theeks and Streak are alive very soon. You have to make the call now. Do you do fire or do you kill?
Open the gates. Certainly look like they want to get the kill. Zap got one in. Genetics will do the dance, but how long can you stay on the water before you get drowned? Benko, make sure you get submerged. Still, Fire Giant going down. Variety got Ekrom, and the Fire Giant falls. Zap and Smoke Break take it and walk away.
And that is perfect for Smoke Break. You're slowing the game down. Yes, Ekrom dies. He's your ADC. He's the one that you mostly want fire on. But the biggest thing is just slowing the game down as much as you can, and that's exactly what they did.
Variety,
Benko
he
has
get boxed, but Benko is huge.
Whoa!
Goodbye, Variety. Hovering Death.
Theeks has ult.
He wants more.
Does he go for it?
Lurkin decides, you know what?
Smart.
Take the win.
That's very smart. I like that. You get the pick, you go into the air, you see what you can find. You don't need to go for any more, because now you have 45 seconds of an advantage, and you could go for this Gold Fury. This now allows you to kill all these towers, and it pulls this game to a halt, and it evens the game out. And that's exactly what Smoke Break needed, because now, next time Sap backs, Rod's going to be finished. Just right there, Rod is now finished for Sap. You have more damage in mid. Johnny's getting more items online. You're not playing down an entire item now. Maybe you're playing down half an item, but that's fightable.
Now, Benko kind of proved to Variety right there that I can outbox you easily.
sure.
And that's just going to change Variety's whole approach, because before he had no fear on that Thanatos. And now if you don't have that kind of survivability that you thought you had, it becomes even more pertinent to go in with your team and find those things. Streak, in that last team fight against the Fire Giant, he got isolated by Benko. Benko late game, really coming alive with this Thanatos, and kind of, like you said, throwing a wrench through this whole thing for Team Risk. Gold Fury will go to Smoke Break, as everybody else from Team Risk are still getting reset. And there you go, Elion will pop up on the screen, and we got a game inbound.
And I think that last team fight is exactly what Smoke Break wants to do in these team fights. Split up the two backliners. Streak and Beaks weren't near each other, and Genetics was nowhere near them also. If you can do that, if you can split up the two hyper carries from the Jin or from the Yemoja, that's how you're going to win fights. Because Benko, Johnny, they're very good 1v1 characters with the builds they've gone for. They're just a little squishy on dives, and they can't really, do enough damage to threaten through a Yemoja. So if you can do that, if you can split up fights just a tiny bit, like I like Johnny split pushing here. This is good. Make Lasber follow you. You win that 1v1.
Dance under the tower. Meanwhile, Variety fighting Johnny. Pops the Ragnarok, trying to get back to Elion.
Taunt.
Elion is there, but Variety
has the
dishing out
wall.
that light
What are we
steal.
doing?
You just get deleted. There was no help coming for you. Echrome gets credit for the kill, and now the rest of Team Risk
wall?
are hoping to get out wall, and the river, and the hovering death, but nowhere for Benko to go. Maybe chase down another pick here on the other side. That'll be a tough one to grab, and Smoke Break keep finding these plays.
And honestly, bigger than killing Variety is forcing out Yemoja. There's no defense here for Team Risk now. Yes, you've got the ultimate from Nuwa, you have Lasber's streaks. It's just not useful in a 5v4. Forcing out Genetics ult now gives you a chance to go for this Phoenix.
Fields of Love drops down as well, but everyone able to walk out of it. Still, Johnny has to brutalize.
Insane damage.
Forces Lasbra out. It's going to make a follow-up difficult. Go right back to Fountain and get back into it. This Phoenix under duress. As Team Risk try to find a way to stabilize. Elio throws the wall out and protects Echrome, but the Siege of Olympus works out. Lasbra has the damage to keep it going. Benko's in trouble, and he's gone. Elion, he's gone. Streak with a double kill, and Team Risk turn it right back on the table.
And Streak is here. This is his first land, and he's playing like this. He's got that Deathbringer finish, and he just carries that fight. Him and Genetics, nice threes from Genetics, and then just really good positioning from Streak. There was no threat potential on him, and then he just shreds the team fight. Now there's 3 dead on the side of Smoke Break. End call here for Team Risk. Call it here.
Smoke Break did everything they could to come back into game 1. We'll make sure this Phoenix stays down before they go in for that final attempt. Still got about 25 seconds before anyone else is up. It's up to Sap and Johnny to hold the line. That'll be a difficult one with Genetics leading the charge for it. Johnny tries the Ragnarok, pulls it into Fountain. Lasbra gets grabbed. A lot of damage there. Sap gets forced back early, and I don't think there's any chance for it as the Titan falls and game 1 drops to Team Risk.
And what a back and forth, honestly. I mean, we saw how well Team Risk played that early game, played that mid game, but a nice play by Smoke Break on that Fire Giant, looking for that pick. It kind of throws the game for a loop, and then that final siege by Smoke Break, a phenomenal play by Streak, a phenomenal play by Genetics. Win that 4v5, and that's with no Yemoja. They had a bunch of useless ultimates in an actual 4v5, but it didn't matter with how Streak positions. It doesn't matter with how Genetics plays that. And Echrome is just getting every dash caught. Did you see it again?
Yeah.
Another dash caught by Genetics.
Every time.
Genetics was like in his head or something.
Even when he was in his own power to do something about it, he had a panicky moment. It was earlier on in the game, you saw the Athena aspect ult. And drops Fields of Love. Smart idea, right? But then he dashes out before Athena actually comes down. And so Lasbra was just laughing. He's like, okay, cool, thanks for taking me out of your ultimate. It's like little plays like that that kind of bit Smoke Break in bad spots. And then they started to find some purchase, right? They started to get some picks. Variety wasn't able to find as much value as we thought he was going to. And ended up beating them a little bit, and they ended up finding those picks. Then Team Risk win 1 team fight, and that's all it takes.
And that was a strange play also by Variety on that last siege, like right before they go for that tier 2 in middle. Variety ults in. Nobody on his team is ready there to fight it. I don't know if that's a comms issue or just Variety saw that opening and then it's just a solo laner thing where if you see that big opening, you just go for it. Either way, that was a little worrisome, but I mean, Team Risk still wipes that fight after.
Well, Team Risk painting a different picture here against Smoke Break, but there's still another game that they have to win. Who will take that? Find out after the break.
Welcome back, everyone, to the SMITE 2 Founders Series here in the HyperX Arena, Las Vegas. Of course, you've gotten to see all the beautiful weight screens. You've gotten to see, honestly, just a whole lot of beauty, I think, right here. But one thing that you want to make sure is beautiful all the time is your game. Kind of like how SMITE 2 is free to play. You can go play that. You want it to look the best? Well, you need to have the best to run it on. That's why we're happy to point out Starforge PCs, and very specifically that you could get a SMITE Starforge PC. These ones, fantastic. First up, they're beautiful. But then part two, if you just happen to buy, if you like either, building your own, you want to get parts somewhere else, you can get it as just a shell. If you're like me and you've kind of done enough of that in your life and you're just done and tired of it, you can get it pre-built as well. And also, if you're like me, then guess what? That wire management's probably going to be a lot better than what you might be able to do at home. I don't know. That's up to you personally. But you can go to starforgesystems.com now and get yours. Customizable, the god on the inside. There's a wide variety of who you can choose. Of course, Zeus there on the outside. And Starforge Systems, best in the galaxy. Best in the universe, if I remember correctly. It's very, very extensive testing to get something like that done and to be able to say it. But they've done it, and you should too. So make sure you go to starforgesystems.com, get something to make sure when you're playing this now out free-to-play SMITE 2, I'm going to keep hammering that home, that you have something to play it on that looks and makes it run as best as it possibly can. And of course, that just makes you a better gamer, probably. Right?
Higher frames, higher win rate, right? That's how it works.
Probably.
I think so.
I'll just ignore that the number on one of those numbers for me is very high and the other one is not. We'll just say that it goes hand in hand in very limited testing. But this game, we're looking at limited testing. There's no good segue there. I'll just instead ignore what I said and look at this. Wow, Risk, Smoke Break. Very, very, very close to turning things around. But then the turned around things got turned around themselves, and suddenly we were right back where we started. Both of these squads, it's insane, Hazer, when you get a matchup like this and you somehow manage to get a team that gets super far ahead, but then both of them still look good in the late game.
Yeah, really, really back and forth. I think it's definitely the most back and forth game we've had so far out of the three we've seen this tournament. Not a huge sample size, but still, this was definitely both teams kind of punching each other, neither able to land the knockout blow for a long time, and quite a lot of almost sloppy mistakes, I would say, around objectives. We saw some objectives get stolen. We saw a Spire Giant steal, a Pyromancer steal.
Gold Fury as well?
Yeah, Gold Fury as well. And then we see a couple of throws back and forth. It was a really exciting game to watch, but I don't think either team will be particularly happy with how they played that.
Yeah, I think Lermy, especially, we got to see some picks that realistically, it's I mean, you had said you'd seen the Thanatos solo happening in ranked and stuff like that, but kind of showcasing maybe some of the flexibility that the most recent update brought into everything. And I think that's the kind of the beauty of everything. Hey, by the way, free to play, open beta, go get it now. But also the fact that, we do have such versatility now. It really does genuinely feel like, you could see anything pop up on that picks and ban screen.
Yeah, I mean, if we're talking about just the straight up numbers of what we saw there, we did see essentially several new gods that weren't even in the first set contested at all be prioritized in that set going forward. And honestly, the more that I'm thinking about it, the Cupid that we had talked about before, I was gassing it up. It's a Stampede meta.
Yes.
That makes it very, very difficult to be playing the Cupid. So we'll have to see later, after the whole event, when we go back to the balance table, what that starts to look like. Hint, hint, nudge, nudge. But in general, the variety has been really exciting.
Variety was exciting. He played well at solo as well. He didn't feed. He didn't feed. He's back.
He's so back. No, yeah, this move forward as well. The thing I think that's really interesting for these squads, and we've had this discussion, whenever a genetics team is up there, we always talk about the shot calling, and I feel like the same thing comes at least in all of the various Leon teams that he's been on. Same with Benko, what they bring to these team fights, and I think that's why you get to that late game stage, and it does feel like this kind of dance around. Everybody knows what they're doing. And it doesn't matter if you're 10k gold behind, 5k gold behind. You're gonna, positioning. This is what matters. This guy got caught out 2 steps. Literally, if he had just held A for 2 seconds, he would have been fine. But suddenly things fall apart. And I feel like, Hazer, that's kind of where this gets played. There's the gods, there's a lot of the minutia, but the macro play in this is just as important.
Absolutely, yeah. I think there was kind of a tug of war there between the two win conditions of the team. I think the solo jungle on the side of Smokebreak, Benko and Johnny did some great stuff in those team fights, and then we went back to the other side, and Risk, their win condition, I would say, was their duo lane. I think the Emoja and the Jingwei Streak Up had a fantastic game, and they kind of targeted Ecro. I noticed that they had 3 Phantom Shells on mid, jungle, and support, and what they did then is they made sure the Emoja was catching that Cupid out, getting the ult onto him. They would Athena ult on top of the Cupid, which was a really nice thing to see with that aspect, and pick up those kills, and I really think that was the difference maker in that game.
Yeah, and the other thing about this and watching these teams, because of the way they kind of find their own balance, and very specifically the humble note of Benko / Deathwalker, right, noting himself as a very prominent player in this matchup, and pointing out, like, I mean, much like you said, like, if they were going to have a powerhouse duo, it's going to be, from that perspective, in that matchup, the right side of the map, as opposed to, you know, as you said, the duo lane on the other side. And so, I mean, that's something that's also interesting, like, just in general, for everything, whether you want to look at it player-wise, picks and bans-wise, gameplay-wise, like, all the side camp, like, those are the places that now maybe are getting a lot more farm, and especially with those side camps, maybe impacting a lot more than they were just 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, I think it is important on these teams to really be able to highlight that star player, right? If you think that your solo lane's going to go crazy, funnel the farm into him, put the focus there, and we certainly did see Smokebreak attempt to do that, especially with that first run over into the solo lane where we saw both the jungle and the solo matchup. But Variety, I want to hammer this home because it was very, very impressive just how patient he was in that lane. And honestly, if they're able to carry that into game 2, that might be just the counter they need to the star-studded solo lane side.
Yeah, that was something, I mean, in the past, you know, when we've seen the big plays from a team like Smokebreak, because a lot of these guys have played together somewhere along the line. Hazer, it has been solo lane, comes in, makes big play, now team win. And that's not going to be every single one of them, but all the ones that you can remember are the highlights from. Guess what? That's what happens. I mean, you don't hit a 5-man tier Fearless too often that gets cemented as one of the best, if not the best plays that had happened competitively. So, like, it does feel like, yes, you might be, you know, we might be leaning heavily into it, but it really does feel like that's the side of the map Johnny likes playing over there. Like, it feels like Smokebreak love that.
Yeah, absolutely. It makes a lot of sense as well if you think about it. Johnny and then Benko and Deathwalker in a previous life have, you know, played together, worked together a lot. Leon came into the team reasonably recently, so it makes a lot of sense that you'd want to play around the lane, more familiar, been around for longer, and just, yeah, I guess more reps in this team.
And keep educating me on what's good right now, because everything changes, I feel like, every single game, and the only way to find out picks and bans, game number 2. Who's going to be first pick and who is going to take what? I mentioned this a couple times today, and you're going to hear me say it a whole lot. We've doubled the amount of bans per game. So each team has 2, 4 total. Makes it a little easier on you as a player to not just ban, okay, well, that's the #1 thing, and that's the thing we don't want to play against. Now you're out. Now you've got a little more leeway. Zeus gets banned by Smokebreak up at the top, followed by the Ull, the Aphrodite, and I believe it's been Medusa down there for a lot of this. Laramie, I'm kind of curious, when you coming into this weekend, were these gods that you expected to see up there? Were anybody that you're, I mean, obviously the Aladdin's missing, but anybody else that you were kind of like, I thought they'd be maybe a little higher?
Yeah, we saw a couple Geb mentioned at the top of the set, but Medusa here, getting through picks and bans, much like Aladdin was yet to see a home quite yet, but we were talking about it a little bit off camera, where these two teams probably aren't the most comfortable with it. I mean, Hazer mentioned on a previous desk that, you know, if it's getting banned a lot, perceived to be super OP, people aren't just getting the reps on it. Right, so I think playing with these characters that you've known for so long, Medusa been around for almost 10 years at this point, and Thanatos coming on through once again, but on the other side of the coin.
Yeah, this is one, Hazer, and I'm kind of curious about this. Do you think, like,
the hunt is on?
I see a Thanatos. I just saw him in solo. He just did pretty well. Part of me wants to ask, like, he still has flex potential, right? Like, he could still go into the jungle. We haven't really, like, I think the players we saw dominate with him, I want to say it's Rat Milk on Borscht, so, like, you know, we're waiting to still see them, but, like, nobody else really plays him down there. Can I expect to see him in the jungle, or is it just like, If he's locked in, it's EMEA, he's sold.
I think he's viable in the jungle as well. I think he's sort of one of those flex picks that's good to pick early on in your draft because there is that ambiguity about the pick, whether it's going solo, whether it's going jungle. And I think Laspra will have the potential to take this. It's interesting because I wouldn't really see Laspra as a particular Thanatos enthusiast. It's not really his style. I see him as more of the supportive jungler. That Athena that he played last game definitely suits his playstyle.
We could visit.
Well, catch up. Morgan. Now Hecate gets locked in, which means we've got something to figure out. We're on the right side of the screen. Geb and Ra, I mean, Lermy, if you're talking about aspects, one, I mean, Geb, that's kind of in the conversation slightly, sort of, for solo, if that's where it goes. Ra is one that has been, I think, a very heavy conversation, as well as Ra solo specifically. I know Inbound's a huge fan of it.
Yeah, Ra solo is very, very good in your ranked games. Is it good in your comp games? That's yet to be seen so far. We saw Benny played earlier in the mid lane, but with the Anubis lock-in, I feel like it's pretty solid that this Ra is going solo.
I would be almost certain. Sap 7 in the mid lane for Smoke Break, definitely an Anubis enthusiast. He makes that god look really, really, really fantastic.
There is battle to be met.
Genetics has been playing this Morrigan in support. I think he's the trailblazer on this pick. We obviously saw it in the last set, but I think we're about to see the real potential of Morrigan with that aspect in the support role.
Well, second time in a row, no Aladdin ban, no Aladdin pick. It's only happened this set, but we've also only had 2 sets so far, so we'll have to see and figure out if that's a 2-team thing or if that's a continual note throughout all of this. Someone help me out here with Team Risk, though. Like, so we've seen the Morrigan support earlier. I've been, whether you want to say fortunately or unfortunately, in lobbies where JMac has played Hecate support. We just saw solo Thanatos, so in theory he can go take. Who's going where over here?
We've been seeing a lot of flex just across the board, right? But I think that it's most likely, in my eyes, we're seeing Thanatos return to solo, or going to jungle, Morrigan support, Hecate mid, if you're asking me personally. I mean, I know way, way back when in ye old Obey days, Variety was a big Thanatos enjoyer, as I'm sure you know, Hazer.
Yeah, he was a pretty good Thana back in Season 3. Almost dragged us over the line, so we got that championship, but not quite. Yeah, I think Ullr's definitely going ADC. That's one thing. Surely there's not a
Lock it in. We've got one.
But yeah, I like this duo lane. If it is to be Ullr Morrigan, I like it. They both have a stun in their kit. Morrigan can get in close with that aspect, TP in, hit the stun. Ullr can follow up. Really heavy poke and heavy pressure out of that lane if that's what the pitch decide to go with.
Do you like it? I was going to ask if you like it into the Geb, knowing he can at least cleanse one of them. And I'm assuming if you stagger him out, you've got 2 stuns, so you can only help one. Well, there's only one way to try and figure out how it's going to go. Team Risk, they are up 1-0. Can they take it 2-0? Or will Smoke Break tie things up? The only way to find out is going over to our casters.
This is the only way you find out, Gore, and much to our chagrin, Inbound, still no Aladdin, man. Come on! We all want to see Aladdin!
I want to see Aladdin, like, so bad. I'll take it anywhere. Maybe solo Aladdin, mid, jungle, I'll take him anywhere. He is so sick. But you know what else is sick, Jorby? It's this Raw solo with the aspect. I finally get to talk about it. This is such an OP combination. Raw solo with this thermotherapy aspect is just a very good combo. Like, overall in solo lane, there's a lot of push potential, there's a lot of solo potential, and then it also comes down to when you get to that late game portion of the game, you have no longer just like one way to play the game where it's just kill the person in front of me. You can play to peel for your team with the healing. You toss your 3 on your diving Loki. You can ult your Loki when he's diving. You can frontline and then ult for a massive heal. And I think you combo this with a lot of what Smoke Break has. They also have this Anubis for a lot of healing. I want to see some anti-heal on the side of Team Risk. You really cannot kill Raw at all if you don't build anti-heal. You need anti-heal. So somebody, whether it's Variety, Lasbra, Theeks, one of those 3 needs to fit in a Brawlers or a Divine Rune somewhere.
I mean, help my rock brain here a little bit, Inbound, but in this comp for Smoke Break, really their only engage seems to be Thor. But outside of that, like where are the wins going to come in when they get to the team fight portion of this game?
I think you're 100% right looking at it. You see this comp that they have, and it plays really heavily like a scuffle comp where they just fish and they fish and they fish, and then hopefully when something hits, that's their go button. whether it's Uller Axe, whether it's Thorwall, whether it's Thanatos Ultimate. I mean, even Theeks throwing out an ultimate and trying to find one that lands. There is a few different ways to find it, but you're 100% right. You don't have, you know, an Elion Gebel. You don't have a dash taunt from Athena. There's a lot of different ways for Team Risk to play it, but it's not easy. And I think it's always correct to look at how easy a comp is to play. This Team Risk comp is not easy. I also don't really love the Morgan in mid lane, or the Morgan in support. There's really no great transform in this game. There's no, like, go in Odin, there's no go in Hades, like there's no big ultimate that you want to play around. I don't know who Genetics wants to turn into, but I mean there's an option of
Anubis,
you know,
get gaze maybe.
Then you're sitting in the middle of a team fight standing still. The reason Hades is so good is you got that triple dash with that blink.
Right.
I mean, there are ways to play it, don't get me wrong. He could turn into the Ra and then play around the Ra. There is capabilities elsewhere. I just don't love it as much as I love the combination with Hades solo. That just feels so much better. I'm curious to see what Genetics does. He's obviously got some thought in his brain about why he's playing this Morgan in support in this comp. But I'm just a little worried about it. That's
Genetics certainly had a lot to say during picks and bans. You saw the camera on him, and he's
a yapper.
He's talking to his team like he's the coach on the sideline in a football game. He's like, "You need to do this." I'm like expecting the iPad to come out. Like,
he's a yapper.
He's clearly got an idea on how to make this work. And you know, Team Risk, they're one of the best teams in EMEA. We're the best team in EMEA before Smoke Break took top of the group at the Knockout LAN. But they've already proven in game number 1 that they're not to be trifled with. They could easily take it back here against Smoke. Interesting comp for sure. Get Medusa, I'm also interested in. They've been pushed back a little bit here early on.
And I think that's a perfect segue for me to talk about the Medusa and the Geb, because this is our first Medusa game that we've seen. A lot of people think she's pretty high priority. She does a lot of damage. The issue though, Jorby, she's not safe. She is not a safe character. And if you're getting dove by Thana Thor, maybe pause on that, level 4 Loki, if he goes uninvis. No, Lazarus just using that ultimate, trying to find something, get something started. And I guess this goes back to the original point of, they really don't have great in-games. Lazarus just going up to try to find something. Nothing's there, he's gonna have to call it off. But Medusa, first time we've seen her, not too safe, but boy, does she do a lot of damage. She's got the peel from the Geb also. So I like it as they scale into the late game. Medusa Geb is a really good pairing.
Well, it's like that dash that roots, right? Like to have Geb there to give you that safety, I mean, that's got to be huge. I definitely like that combination.
And you combo that with also Anubis being a very, we have to kill this character.
Yeah.
When you get to the late game, pick your poison. Do you want to kill the Anubis? Do you want to kill the Medusa? I mean, Johnny's on Loki, another pretty hyper carry god. And that's not even talking about how much damage a Ra with this aspect can do. There's a lot of hyper carries, a lot of gods where if you don't shut them down in the late game, they will dominate team fights. And then you circle all those gods with a Geb. I like what Smoke Break has cooked up. And to go back to our original point, Team Risk, they have a very difficult to play comp. It's not easy.
Yeah, I think, you know, last game we were talking about the issues that Echrome had. He kept getting caught out mid-dash, trying to escape and trying to be useful on that Cupid, using the ult, but always kept getting picked off. So I feel like this is almost an adjustment to that aspect to give Echrome a little bit more survivability. Also have that Petrify that can be so game-changing if he's not ready for it. I mean, everything there for him. So he's got to have a better game than he did in game number 1 for this team to be successful. Because you know Streak on the other side is going to be nailing.
Yeah, I mean, Streak had a phenomenal game last game. Feed the hot hand. He got the Jingwei last game. This game, going with that Uller, which, I mean, we saw Cyclone put an absolute performance on him in game 1 of this tournament. I expect Streak Up to play nearly the exact same, play it very, very well. And his positioning in that game, very good. He's not a character, or he's not a player that will make a lot of mistakes. He likes to play really smart, but he pushes the envelope just enough where he's not really getting threatened, but he's putting out enough damage to be threatening the enemy team.
You know, I will say that for as much as you have not liked the Morrigan support, you know, we only really saw Happen try to run it. I am curious how Genetics plays this throughout.
I feel that.
Because I feel like any support that he plays, he just knows how to work. He's so good at finding a way to seemingly make any god work that he tries to play. Because we've seen people try to steal Ymir from him. We know how good Genetics is. Elion did that, that didn't work. The Yamoja was perfect, so I'm really curious to see that Morrigan, and that might be a huge difference maker for them. But as we keep talking about, like a lot of this focus about the duo lane, so we feel like that's where that win's going to come through.
The duo lane is very important, but I also looking over in solo lane, Variety's opted to go into anti-heal right away. They're trying to kill this Raw. Usually you opt for some cooldown. You saw the Pendulum for Cherry. He went Pendulum. That's to farm. That's to, you know, if you get ganked and you just throw a Hammer, you have that cooldown to bring it back up. That Variety doesn't care about farming. Variety wants to kill Benko. And you combo with the Thanatos where you have the anti-heal from the Thor, you have the damage from the Thor. Lazarus can pretty easily come over and look for the commit onto Thieves. I mean, onto Benko.
We were up in the Anvil of Dawn. Jungler coming over. Just a little late for that one. Not sure what the lead up to that Anvil of Dawn pop was. Either way, I'm sure we'll see it again, possibly. Purple buff trying to be confirmed here. Want to make sure Team Risk stay off of it. We'll get that purple buff. Meanwhile, under a little bit of duress. No getting caught. Gets around with the snipe. Gets a little bit of healing.
Look at that.
That's that Raw aspect, baby. We'll beam it out, and they get forced out of the fight.
And
I think got most of his health back.
Yeah, he ults and he heals, and you know, you ult him, and you don't really do that much to him. And I think what Variety's originally looking for is he's trying to force out Benko's beads. I think there is a capability to kill Benko if he has no beads. And actually, maybe a potential fight here. Kind of hope Johnny goes in. He goes in.
Got a little low. Got the blink forward, but a blink out.
That's worth.
We'll get out of it, and you'll happily trade it out there.
And that's what I want to see from Johnny. I think this is a lane that if you put this Thor behind even a little bit, there's nothing you can do against Benko's Raw. You can't gank him. Even if you force his beads, he's still got a ton of survivability just in his kit, just in his items. I want to see, you know, last game I wanted to see Johnny play towards solo or dual lane. I wanted him to play around the Ymir Cupid. This game, play around Raw. This is literally when he's the most OP. He just doesn't take damage. Once he gets that first defense item online, he will not die again. That's my marking right there, Jorby.
Okay.
Well, okay, first like,
you don't
20
think,
minutes.
You don't think
Give
that
me
the assassinate might not be able to kill Thanatos?
Maybe, maybe. I'm just saying, once that god gets one defense item online, he is very, very hard to deal with. And I want to see Johnny play to that side of the map. I want to play around this god that can kind of dictate the first 20, 25 minutes of the game.
Uh-oh, someone got caught. He can have a shield for now, but it's only going to last for a second streak. We'll pick up first blood for Team Risk. Not exactly how Smokebreak wanted to draw that up. Get caught out that early on. You saw the rest of the team there in duo. Knew they couldn't commit.
I think on the opposite side, that's the exact player you want the first blood on for Team Risk. You want Streak to get to this nice little lead. So hurry up that second item, hurry up that third item. Because this is a pretty volatile laning phase over here. Medusa and Ullr. If Medusa's ahead and she's just dashing you off cooldown, she'll one-shot Ullr before he can jump away. However, if Ullr's ahead, Ullr can hit axes, poke her down. Really no return damage from the Medusa. I think it's very important for Team Risk to get this Ullr ahead and to play around the Ullr. I think those are the sides that you're deciding. Team Risk, duo lane, solo side for Smokebreak.
So you're saying Echrome needs to channel his inner dodgeball. Just don't get hit.
Yeah,
easy.
Just don't get hit.
You saw how easy that was for anyone against Cyclospin on Ullr. Meanwhile, Cataclysm.
Loki coming.
Take a few down. We'll have an assist coming shortly. Echrome getting back into the fray quickly. Maybe a little too late as Team Risk actually had a pretty safe retreat there. Johnny and Echrome weren't able to get into the rift there as Cataclysm came down.
And that's just looking for a play there. Streak had no beats available. Elion forces to get a little bit of damage onto the Ullr, sees that they can start to take that fight. The issue is Johnny was just a little bit too far away. He was not able to make it to that fight, so he can't find the ultimate on the Streak. And that's kind of the last play you have on the Streak until he gets those beats down again, because those beats are coming up right about now. Streak's gonna be a lot safer now. You're getting more cooldown online with your next item, whether it's that Hydra's, and I think Ullr needs cooldown more than anything. Yes, this trance is awesome, it gives him a lot of damage, but you really don't feel, you know, super strong on Ullr until you start getting that cooldown online, spam the abilities, and just try to hit something. Make the other player play dodgeball.
Well, Benko will sit right on top of you. You know, I gotta say, I do love that 3, but however, Death Sight is also fun.
He wins this.
He does not care. He says, sure, there's 2 of you. You're gonna need more to take me down, buddy. Benko's just, I'm gonna take your blue as well. Oh, I've felt that before. Anvil of Dawn is up. Hammer comes down. They get some damage out, though. He's actually getting deleted. Johnny came into the party. Bye-bye, Variety.
What a strange engage by Variety there. Why are we fighting that 2v3 there just for the blue buff? Just give it. It's just one blue buff. You don't even need the mana that much. It's not much of an issue. I don't know why they forced that so hard. When Elyon even rotates over, like, you see him there. He's not hiding. He is there in plain sight. I don't know why we're going in. We're losing Pyro now because of that play. And that nice early game lead you had, getting that Ulu, that first blood, it's just, it doesn't matter as much.
Whether it's swinging one way or the other, the swing seemed to be centering around for Riot. Whether he takes too much of a risk. Deeks actually gets the steal. Never mind, that wasn't as free as we thought it would be. And that's exactly the problem that Smokebreak keep running into. Because that was happening to them in the last game too. They think they have an objective for free. Team Risk come in and just show you, they just diff on you there. And you have to struggle. Now you have to come back from that. And granted, it's early on right now. You're not that far behind, but those little things start to add up, and Elyon barely escapes, has to eat a death sight. However, the rocks will crumble, and Things gets another.
And there's just so much pressure on Elyon right now to get collapsed on in the jungle, and they just silence him, stun him, and there's not much he can do. Gold Fury pulled.
Nothing Echrome can do about it. You sit here and trade projectiles all day, but that Gold Fury will fall to Team Risk. Meanwhile, you got Benko happily throwing the sunbeams down. Isn't it shining there over on the solo side for Benko? No doubt late game, that is gonna hurt if they don't find a way to shut it down.
I feel like I'm so excited just to watch Raw solo in the late game.
You've been talking, you're talking about Raw solo
all the time.
More than anything else this whole weekend.
Is there something wrong with me?
Like, we'd be down on the casino floor and you're talking about the Raw aspect. Just like, okay, but like, do you want another card?
Yeah, that's on me. I'm just so excited because the thermotherapy aspect makes it so he's just a much better god late game. Like, Raw solo is really good, period, with base Raw kit. With the aspect, it just gives him so much more threat and so much more safety in the late game. You have the ultimate for just that extra burst heal. And then the really cool thing is you just toss your 3 on yourself. Your 3's ticking on the enemy as you use your 2 auto attack them. You just have a bunch of different damage all colliding at the same time, and it doesn't feel like there's anything you can do when you're behind.
It is really funny to me that we went from when Ra's 2 was OP, and we saw nothing but Ra solo, and then they nerfed that. He's gone. Aspect comes out, and he's back. Ra solo's back.
I like it.
13 minutes of gameplay, and a couple of looks as far as engagements go. But I think Team Risk Comp definitely
Where's Sap?
forced them to look for the picks. Where's Sap indeed? Genetics will take him down. Gates do open, but the beads will keep you out.
Nice.
Still, Anvil of Dawn is open, and you get sent away. Variety picks up another.
And what a read by Variety. Wait, goes into the air, doesn't need to land on a Sap, finds Johnny also. Johnny's beads are forced also. But I'm asking the question, what is Sap doing? He's pathing over top of the red buff, going towards Fire Giant. Is he trying to pick up the Fire Giant elementals? Is he playing for those as an Anubis? Is that what he's actually playing for? Whatever it was, Sap can't be there. You don't have the safety of a tower behind you. Your Geb's not with you. You can't path into this Team Risk team comp. This Team Risk team comp wants to play like that.
Now let's take a look at Variety again on the replay and just really take a second look at it inbound. I want you to kind of break this one down for me as you watch it after the stun hammer.
What a good start to the fight, also going into hammer, and then going up because he knows Johnny's here. And he saw the invade, he saw the beads. What a perfect read by Variety. And this is after, I mean, again, last game, Variety started heating up. Is he heating up too much now? Is he becoming an issue?
Might be. That Thor solo is starting to look a little nastier. Smoke Break and Team Risk.
Your right tower is under attack.
Still duking it out, but Team Risk just looked like the better team. Sure, 2K gold lead, sure, whatever, sure, weird comp, but they're making it work somehow. Smoke Break, do you think it has to be in that team fight where if you catch Team Risk, we talk about your lack of engage outside of Anvil and Dawn.
Yeah.
Is that your angle forward if you're Smoke Break from here?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's got to be. You talk about how these teams are going to be playing when it comes to the late game, and there's really no engage for the side of Team Risk. They're just fishing. That's what their comp is trying to do. And really, a lot of their kills come from they're just fishing, or somebody's really out of position. Like, Elyon's been caught in the jungle a couple times. I think he has to be a little bit careful with his pathing because they do have the damage to kill. There's no way Elyon's going into the jungle and not dying if he's getting CC'd.
Variety ulting just to get away. And meanwhile, the gates have been opened. Cataclysm goes down. Streak deletes Elyon, and there goes a lot of the front line for Smoke Break. Have to retreat out, and Team Risk keep finding these picks.
And Elyon is there defending that. I get it. You want to defend that. He goes in. But Echrom's not rotating. Echrom was doing the blue buff or doing something in the bottom right. And then we have also Johnny pushing the right wave. The all-in defense there by Elion, it just doesn't seem like they're all on the same page right now. That's 3 people defending against 5, and it's just, why? It's not
Sap
like a
1v4ing
massive objective.
in
Yeah,
the right
Sap
jungle.
1v4ing. I think this is just so far a sloppy game from Smoke Break. They're not playing together well, and you're now at a pretty big disadvantage where Fire Giant is a possible threat. I don't think I'm worried about it yet because of the potential of Benko being in these team fights. I think you don't want to fight into Benko right now, but I mean, you have a level 17 Uller, a level 17 Hecate. You are not worried in the slightest about just about anyone else. Like Sap's build at this point, he's not doing enough damage to really kill anyone.
Everyone just kind of standing off of each other as we begin the dance of the Fire Giant. Been on the number for about a minute now.
Short dance.
Everyone just retreating from Team Risk and nobody really around for Smoke Break either. It is, like you said, hard to engage on it this early on. Just spawns, you're still getting farmed up. Everybody goes back to their reported roles. We'll try to keep on farming for the next fight.
And one more item, Streak is going to be an absolute menace. He's got the cooldown now, he's got the damage, he'll not run out of mana. Once he gets that Titan's Bane, that's when he becomes a threat against anyone. That's when Elion walks too far forward and acts into a combo. He's going to be doing a lot of his health. Same thing with Benko, there's going to be a lot of damage thrown onto him. And they've got the anti-heal for Benko also. They have that Divine, they have that Brawler, so they have threat. The worry I still have for the Team Risk side of things is I'm worried about what Raw's going to be doing in a team fight if we group right now. That's why I don't want to fight on the Raw side. But what a lot of time what Smoke Break does really well is they send Benko to these fights and they actually send Johnny to go farm solo side. I'm curious if that's what they're looking to do, and they actually just sent Benko back, who's now going left.
Right on the Gold Fury, Elion takes a look. Some support is coming. Sap is getting forward. Can they burn the Death Gaze onto it? It does drop to Team Risk. Smoke Break, can they get some kills out of it? Hovering Death to escape. Getting a little bit of trouble. Elion pushed too far. Done that a couple times already. And
oh no,
punished
this
for
is
it
caught
each
out.
time. Actually getting caught. Petrify will give you just a chance, and the Raw also heals you a little bit. That's nice. You're still
He's
taking
not
some
dead.
damage. Flings up Cataclysm comes through.
He's alive.
And he's gone. How in the world do you survive that one? Genetics is gone. Well, Smoke Break, you somehow again turn coal into gold here.
Jorby, Echrom is by himself into 4.
I don't know how he lived.
And then he somehow just gets out alive.
He put the Petrify into the Raw and he healed.
He does use the CC immunity really well. He does get healed by the Raw. And now this slows the game down on the side of Team Risk. They look for that play after going for the Gold Fury. They get the Gold Fury, but it doesn't matter because they trade out. Yes, it's genetics, but this is just slowing the game down. And you get to these like 15, 20-minute points and you're up 5, 6K. Like, you have a nice lead. This is not game-winning lead. This is a nice lead that if you keep up the pace, you can win with it. But plays like that, it just slows it down. Now you have Benko free farming, you have Johnny free farming. And Johnny was really, really far behind this entire game. He needs a little something to get back into it. Maybe that death slows down the game enough. I mean, I guess ignore Johnny. Benko's 20.
Yeah. They haven't been able to do anything. They've sent 2. He's like, cool, send more.
He literally fought him 1v2 and they had to run away.
and they were like, you know what? We don't want to send more than 2. We don't want to see what happens. But Benko's eventually going to bring that to you. He's going to show you himself what's going to happen here in the team fight. Elion and Benko. And the fight forward here could be that X factor here for Smoke Break. They've been losing the battle everywhere else.
And one of the few things I do like about Raw Solo with this Bluestone is your 3 and your ultimate no longer scale. They have nothing to do with your intelligence. They are just a flat base damage. Bluestone, however, just procs anyway, so you're getting that extra ability damage, or sorry, extra maximum health damage onto the enemy team. So yes, the ultimate of Raw is not intended to do a lot of damage with this aspect, but Bluestone gives it a little bit more, where if you find Plasma in a team fight who has that aspect with a lot of health, you're going to do a little bit of chunky damage to him. Same thing with Variety. Not a ton of protection. You'll do a little bit of chunky damage to him. And the movement speed Raw also gets, it makes it really hard to hit these Raw CCs. So, I mean, we talked about at the beginning of the game, how is the engage going to happen? Well, you have to find the axe, the walls. It's not easy to hit a speeding chicken.
No, especially when the chicken just stands still for a second after you see it moving so fast. How am I supposed to predict anything? Pyromancer goes down. to Team Risk. They continue to win these objectives. They have 2 Gold Furies, Anvil of Dawn to escape it for now. No doubt. Oh, he's actually going to address. They got isolated for a second. Johnny escapes thanks to the Geb shield. They just want to keep fighting. Loses all of his health. Portal opens up from Hecate as well. Hovering Death looms long over Smoke Break. Engages on 1, taking him down. It's a lot of health off, but turn it back around. Streak gets credit for the kill. No doubt helped by Benko here. Helps protect the retreat. Still Team Risk want to force it. As Benko sits in front, finds a lot of damage off the beat. Avoids the Anvil of Dawn and that hammer, but well, he wasn't looking for him on the other side. Variety needs to escape it now. Benko wants to turn back in. Team Risk have been managing the health pools okay. They look dangerous at times. Sap is also lurking. Benko doesn't really seem to care too much. Echrome will leave as well. Looks like everybody's going to get out of that fight besides Elion.
And it's really hard to get away from this Team Risk comp. I mean, yeah, we've talked about it a ton now. They don't have that CC. You know what they do have, Jorby?
Chase.
They do have a ton of chase. You have the Thorald, you have the Thanald, you have even Mori transforming into somebody else. And then probably the best chase character on the entire team is the Ullr. Spamming those abilities, getting the movement speed, getting the jump. You have the ability to stun the enemy team when you're chasing them out. So there is a lot of chase potential from Team Risk. And I mean, you even look at Smoke Break's comp. That's not a team that's designed to run. They're going to need to stand and fight at some point. Because a lot of times it's Elion getting caught out because he's probably the easiest to catch out. It's really slow, gathering rock as his one. And then that's really all you have for survivability. So at some point, you need to stand and fight if you're Smoke Break. I haven't seen the spot yet, but it's coming up soon. You don't want to let this Team Risk comp go too late game, because then you have 5 capable gods that Genetics can kind of turn into and do a lot of damage with. That's late game Ullr. That's also a worry. I mean, you compare Medusa and Ullr late game. I don't think Medusa's late game is that strong, especially in comparison to Ullr. I think it's a lot of damage, but you can kill her. Variety, Lasbra, that's a lot of damage, a lot of CC. Genetics can turn into just about anybody to run this Medusa down. And Streak doesn't have that same issue. He's got that beads, and he's just got that spam ability.
It's about that burst versus the chase. Which one will end up getting the victory? Smoke Break have kept it a close one, but slowly Team Risk have extended that goal. It's not a large one this late in. Open the gates, the Hecate ult pulls them in. Smoke Break gets some trouble. Petrify gonna come out as well, but they still don't want to engage too far. Echrome out of this fight, and Smoke Break are losing the health bars. They're losing their gods. Streak is taking them down. Variety takes another to him. Elion, forced in full retreat, has to shield himself. The shield splinters, and Streak picks up the double.
Jorby, what am I watching from the side of Smoke Break? Why are we taking another 4v5 when Johnny's not there? Johnny's pushing middle waves, and we're taking this fight in right lane. It just doesn't make sense. It doesn't seem like Smoke Break is on the same page, and Team Risk is just exploiting it. They look for that engage, they fish with the Hecate ult, they find Benko, who, for one, could just ult it. He decides not to ult it to kind of start off the fight, bait the fight. It doesn't matter. It's a 4v5. You can't win that.
I mean, Echrome, he casts Petrify, and then he leaves. He goes and retreats back to the blue. He didn't hit anybody with the ult. Is that the reason he just abandoned the play there? He took so much damage off the table.
It probably comes down to just being a 4v5 anyway. Like, even if you hit that ultimate, I mean, granted, he doesn't hit it, but even if you hit it, you're not winning this fight. Johnny's not close. Benko can ult that.
Yeah. Petrify here, and
he hits one.
Immediately pulls off.
One. And then at this point, it's just over. Elion is too push far forward. Benko has no way to get out. Johnny's not going in. And Sap, once you're forward, you can't run away. Like, we've talked about it now, past 5 minutes. You don't have that capability to run. But you can't get caught in these fights also. You have to be ready to 5v5.
Gold Fury for Team Risk yet again. Fights have not worked out here for Smoke Break for one reason or another. Team Risk, talking about that comp early on, even before they threw to us, you were kind of questioning it inbound of, we'll see how that works. Maybe we give advantage to Smoke Break here. We know how well they can play against this Risk squad. Now, you see Ullr is in that late game stage, the dangerous one that you're talking about so much, where even if he misses an axe, he's just so speedy that he'll have another one up in no time. This tier 2 going to drop easy, does it with that Fire Giant buff. The Team Risk will look to run down as many objectives here as possible.
We have Johnny just hitting level 20s, backing to base right now. This could be the defense we need.
Another hammer as well. Variety will pull off. Standoff here in front of that Phoenix. Team Risk, I don't care, they know they have the advantage in several areas here. They have the ability to chase down anybody they might pick off. Echrome lurking and waiting, as well as all of their towers fall, and Smokebreak slowly but surely getting pushed against their own fountain.
And I like what Team Risk is opting to do here. I like that they're splitting. You're not taking that 5v5, because that's how Smokebreak is going to win the fight. They want to 5v5. They have a really strong 5v5 comp. Have they used it this game yet, Jorby? They haven't. But all it takes is one. They're not down a ton right now. Like, this Uller is an issue. Yes, Hecate's probably a little bit of an issue. But outside of that, they have very high chance to win this fight.
Anvil of Dawn is up. Variety wants to look. He goes behind.
Genetics?
You have Sap ulting Genetics, who dies. Variety makes sure Sap goes down.
That's
Just
two.
hammering him in the face. Johnny comes in. Lots of trading. But is anybody going to find the economy? They're going to back out of it. Team Risk all of a sudden gets forced out thanks to the trade.
The issue is at this point, Uller's just looking for that poke. He found a lot of poke on the Echrome. He's getting poked out a little bit. Benko's standing strong right now.
Still another pop. They want to force it. Lasbra looking in front on Benko. Benko feeling a little more confident in the 2v3, but he's losing health bars quickly. Used all of his abilities, has to wait. Actually gets stunned out for a second. Off the axe. Echrome barely survives. Got just a little bit of green left on that health bar.
This Uller is just doing so much at this point. Streak has played phenomenal both of these games. What he's doing in these fights is he is keeping these 3v3s alive because he's just finding poke. Echrome is eating an axe and then just taking like nearly his entire health bar. Or he'll just find a hail of arrows, his 3, and poke out somebody by half. What we've seen from Streak Up, both last game on that Jing and Uller this game, I mean, like, what are you supposed to give him? He's playing 2 characters. He can obviously play Medusa also. Like, there are so many gods that he's played now so far that he just looks phenomenal.
I thought you were saying he was playing 2 gods because of Uller's stance switching.
No,
that you were talking about.
No, well, kind of, I guess.
I mean, your point still stands. Streak has been so good. And Streak was this good when Team Risk were winning 16 matches in a row. We were all shocked during the Knockout LAN in Atlanta when Smokebreak took that series. And Elion, everyone was excited for him to rejoin this team, and everyone's thinking he's the diff. Team Risk is showing you something else right now.
And my eyes are on Variety in terms of how much better they're playing at this tournament than the last tournament. This Thor game, a lot of really good engagements. He played really safe that Bologna game. And what he's doing in the team fights, usually really good. I think once he plays like this, once he gets consistent, I mean, Streak can hyper carry games. We've seen Deeks do it for years that he can hyper carry games. They just needed a little bit of consistency out of Variety. And once you get to a LAN, there are very few players that are as consistent as Variety.
This is pretty much the breaking point for the
Thor
players
behind.
on Smokebreak. Last run coming in as well. And there's Variety. Absolutely powerful. Deeks will get credit for the kill. There ain't no mistake about it. Here's the Anvil. Drop the hammer, and you're not going to find the stun, but you don't care. You're still going to find the fight. Variety will stand into the Streak. Only for Streak to come in and take Johnny's life away. And slowly, that may be what tips the scales into this game. Team Risk are looking for the 2-0.
It seems like they're happy just going to Fire Giant at this point, getting ready to set up for that next siege. They don't have a wave in left, and then right tier 1, right tier 2 are still available. But, I mean, at this point, you're going to be giving up Fire Giant. You're going to be losing your towers. Smokebreak is not in a great spot. I will say, though, Johnny's at a point where he just one-shot Variety. There is damage threat there. But you know, we still have not seen a single 5v5 team fight for Smokebreak. Every single time, it's a pick. I don't want to see picks. I don't want to see anyone split. Get ready to 5v5. Maybe you have Elion roll in, jump in, and then use his ultimate, blink in, do something to start these fights. I'm tired of looking at just poke traded by Team Risk. Engage a fight and take a 5v5.
You have that Gebel, you have Cataclysm. That can be such a game changer in any team fight. You have so much utility available to you to help confirm that first damage. Smokebreak do it. Turn this around. It looked like they were going to do it in game number 1. They found a way to turn things around. You know they're capable of it. So this game is not over, despite all the weight being tipped on one scale here. Team Risk will drop another Fury and wait, bide their time as Smokebreak starts to move up here in the mid lane.
With this gives them that opportunity to kind of split out a lane extra. They have now this these Nagas that they can now spawn into tank a little bit. And I want to see, I mean, the side of Team Risk, you should split. That's what you want to do. You don't want to give Smokebreak the opportunity to take a 5v5. I think it's even maybe not worrisome because this is just free. You have the fire or the gold fury, the ancient fury. You can just walk in, do this for free. They still haven't pushed to get that tier 1 tower and the tier 2 tower and right. So the next thing is they either have to back up and go start pushing that now, or they look for an end, which is just slowing the game just maybe a little bit too much. I'd rather have somebody pushing down right to get it set up for everyone else.
A little too scared for smoke break because we're anticipating maybe a barrel down mid. Risk pull off. Despite their name, actually very good at risk management. Maybe that's why they're called Team Risk. They know how to manage. It's just dropping everything. I mean, that's been the whole game, right? The comp has worked out for them. So many times in this game, it just comes down to execution. Especially if you feel like the comp is on the other side. You're confident on your gods. You just hit your Anvil of Dawns. You just hit your axes. It doesn't really matter what smoke break have in the kit. You're still going to win the game. It's exactly what's happened to the Team Risk have executed perfectly, and they'll get out again.
And I think they're actually going to be backing right now, spend a little bit more of their gold, get this Pyromancer on the way out, just to get, you know, fully statted out. They still have enough time on this Fire Giant to look for one more siege. If they hurry it up just a little bit, I think this is the smart play. This is the risk-averse play, as you're just saying, despite their name. They do play things very smart a lot of the time, and they don't really give you an opportunity to come back into the game. The worry is, though, that middle Phoenix is now spawned again also. I think it's always talked about when you get to these later portions of the game. Are you playing too slow? Are you giving the team an opportunity to farm up and come back into the game? I mean, and you look at the build so far for Smoke Break, you got a 6-slotted Rod now.
Yeah.
You've got 5 working on that 6th one for Johnny. If you get to that 6th item on the Anubis on Johnny, I mean, you don't even need your 6th one on your support. There is a worry here that Smoke Break taking a 5v5 could win him.
You can't stack elixirs now, though, and
that's true.
Maybe is that enough to actually keep you ahead? And so, like, that makes a risk-averse strategy a little better, or does it
probably makes
really
it
not
feel
matter?
a little better. It probably makes it feel like a little bit better that it's not that worrisome. But I do think that there is something to be said about a full item versus a 3K pot. You have that active/passive.
Well, they do get back to the middle Phoenix. They have no qualms taking them down quickly. Benko gets caught a little bit by the Thor wall. The snipe will take all of that damage back as healing. And he'll just keep on chasing Variety down. He's forced to ult out, but you have Thanatos here. Do you choose to engage? Johnny, meanwhile, taking Genetics down.
Oh no.
He found the pick. Elion gonna move forward as well. Smoke Break all of a sudden sniff blood in the water. Do they find any other picks? Team Risk are a little low here. They're forced to retreat.
Fire's up soon. If we get a couple waves pushed out left, if we're Smoke Break, we go for Fire Giant. There's an opportunity to do this right as Genetics is spawning. It's a 10-second difference between Genetics and Fire Giant, so maybe it's a little too close, but the game is now even. Benko easily pushes out left lane, allows you to then teleport over to defend that Fire Giant. Jorby, were they not playing aggressive enough? They played this maybe a little bit too slow. Their Fire Giant was dropping. They only had one more opportunity to push, and then if Johnny finds that pick, dead even slate now. Now it's a worry. Now we're in a 5v5 for Smoke Break. They're getting those 6 items online. You actually see Johnny sap 6 items now. I'm worried if I'm Team Risk. We played such a flawless game, and now we're at this point.
That burst is still really scary on Smoke Break. We keep talking about they want to engage as 5. But while they get a pick here, a pick there, those picks have afforded them a little bit more space. Can you position? Can you synchronize? That synchronicity will be all important here for Smoke Break.
I'm also tired of seeing Ikram playing forward by himself. He keeps getting walled off, and he keeps taking a ton of damage. Play with your Geb, play with your team. The only one that should be splitting off is Johnny, and it shouldn't be far enough off that he can't come to the fight. It should be far enough off that he can threaten elsewhere. But everybody else needs to be playing around Elion and Benko. I'm tired of seeing Ikram kind of playing on his own.
Somehow this Fire Giant feels super important, despite Team Risk doing everything they can to put this game in their favor. Smoke Break have hung on by a thread, and they can't find the scissors to snip it. Team Risk trying to sharpen the blade and take down Smoke Break. Dance of the Fire Giant begins once more. Pull off, they want to find that engage. We're looking at Johnny over in the mid lane. He is the crux for this team. He's actually going to be backing here as team still dances around that Fire Giant. Benko looking like he wants to engage. Johnny decides to stay in. Maybe got caught. Either way, standoff continues.
And with this 5v5,
hang on a second, inbound.
you have to kill him. If you don't kill him, he's just going to sustain up.
Beads is out of the portal as well, and has
Just
it all for a
sustains up.
little bit of healing, and you don't take him down. Team Risk force everybody out though.
2 ults down for just 1.
They can still engage. Elion has everything he wants. He has ult up as well. You have 4 ults on the table. And a spam laugh from Genetics. Oh, not the spam. I always think it's the spam laugh. It's the clone.
I don't like when the clone laughs at me.
Fooled me. That's a quick fire giant though. They gotta go in,
Benko's
roll
not
out,
there.
trying to isolate them. Ecrobe can only poke because the wall blocked them out. Fire giant health is going back up. They're not gonna get it. They will engage back onto it though. And that health is dropping quickly. Can they get back in there? Smoke break. Don't even contest the fire giant. And Team Risk get it for free.
And Benko is forced to back to defend that left Phoenix because a fire wave was pushing in. But Jorby, that's an already dead Phoenix. I think I'm giving up that Phoenix and I'm trying to defend this fire giant, or I'm sending somebody else back. Benko is too much of a linchpin in this team fight for him to be the one resetting. I don't like that.
Lasbra, or not Lasbra, excuse me, Johnny. Looking in, I was looking at Lasbra coming in to support. Don't have to support much, and abandoning the play there. I mean, Team Risk, they get the fire giant, even then, just unwilling to really force any fight anywhere. Like, there it felt like that fire giant right there felt like, okay, this is the game ender no matter what happens, but because you don't kill anybody on Smoke Break, you don't really feel confident that you could do it.
Yeah, now we're just setting up for another. Gold Fury into Siege, they have a possibility to still end, and I don't think Smoke Break is in a position to defend this Gold Fury. So now you're fighting into a Fire Giant with Ancient Fury, and you have 2 weakened Phoenixes, the middle and the left one, and those are now double weakened because of Ancient Fury. It's going to be a very hard Siege defense by Smoke Break. You could pretty easily just walk in here and do these very easily. But I want to see no 5v5 even possible for Team Risk. I don't want to give that opportunity even, because if a Blink Get Ball happens and hit 3-4 people, they could lose the game there.
And Veil of Dawn up. Where does the hammer go? Just missing the mark. You get wrapped by Sap. Death Gaze does not kill. Hammer got it. Johnny got him. Streak. Make sure Sap dies for his effort. Team Risk like that. Streak picks up 2.
Johnny.
Elion's off the table. Johnny keeping it even, but he finally goes down to Lasbra. And this may be near the end, but Benko is still alive. Echrome is still alive. That's a lot of damage and sustainability on the table. Team Risk don't like it. They want to make sure these Phoenixes go down. And with 3 versus 2, you think they even try here?
I think Streak's just a little bit too low, but maybe a little bit more time. If he heals up to full, I think they can look for the end.
Like they might want to try. Moving it forward quickly. Benko trying to be that front line, and you got no sustain. Streak picks up another. Echrome, good night. Team Risk staying in the upper bracket, taking down Smoke Break 2-0.
And maybe it takes them a little bit longer than they would have wanted, but they still got to it in the end. They really didn't lose too many fights through the entire game. It just seemed like it took them a little bit too much time to end that game. I think they could have ended it a lot earlier, but overall, still very impressive by Team Risk overall. I think this is what we expected to see at the last tournament. We expected to see them play more consistently. We expected to see a variety who plays like this. Because if this is the Team Risk you're seeing, whoever predicted them might be right.
Oh, I wonder who that was.
He's probably pretty smart.
A singular caster. Couldn't have been Jordan. But either way, Team Risk, I just liked what I saw from them during Founders Series. Didn't look like anybody from EMEA who was going to take them down. And I think a giant question mark was put on this team at the Knockout LAN. Nobody expected them to lose to Smoke Break, even with Elion coming onto the team. Keep talking about it, variety being the huge difference maker at this LAN. He's a big reason why they stay in that upper bracket. Streak, obviously, is just Streak. He's absolutely ridiculous. And Team Risk look like they look like they could take that 5Ms team.
And on the opposite side, am I a little worried about Smoke Break because of that was a lot of game where we didn't really see any 5v5. I think that's a little bit of an issue. We want to see them play together. They really didn't do it too much.
Well, I'm curious what the desk has to say about that match as we continue on.
Well, honestly, the upfront, and maybe I'll steal thunder, I feel like Team Risk, too early to say they're back. I don't know, they're looking pretty clean, which is saying, I mean, again, a lot because of what this team has been able to do in the past. The fact that they're coming back and I would say return to form must be feeling pretty good to be doing it at the right time.
Oh, yeah. I mean, just very solid throughout. Very patient game as well. As we've known EMEA to be generally the more patient side of the regions, you know, but I think overall it really makes a lot of sense that they were able to just really bring it home, especially after so many FG engagements. Just a lot of really good poke as well that led them to be able to really finish up those fights, clean it up, and push those sieges.
Yeah, a very long game, that one. I think that must have been our longest of the day so far. It definitely felt like it. And it was just the macro play that we've grown used to seeing from Genetic style teams, I feel like, alongside that star player in Street Cup. I think there's a lot to be said there about Variety. It was touched on by the casters. He is playing a lot better than he has been previously, and I think the Thor in that game, Thor Walls, got a lot of impact. The immobile mages in the form of Ra and Anubis getting split off from their team made it really, really difficult for Smokebreak to go for these 5v5 fights, as we see Variety diving down there and taking down the jungler Johnny. That was an absolutely perfectly timed Thor ult. And he just played lights out on that pick.
Yeah, I'm having someone, and you know, obviously I'm a sucker for Ymir. Genetics in the past has been as well, but like when you have this style of play where you can just throw a wall up, right? And like, did you hit the stun? Does it really matter if they can't run away or get around it? Like, that's kind of something I really like to see them tackle just because of that. And it does, you know, like you said, it changes the pathing. I mean, the jungle avenues, very recently, hey, if we're talking about changes that came with the most recent patch, some of the geometry and like walls, islands in the jungle that were removed to kind of streamline things. But that also means that, hey, guess what? If I block off your path, you're blocked off now.
Yeah, exactly. I just loved how they played in that space, right? And I think in general, we've been talking about how Genetics is kind of the orchestrator of this Morrigan support pick, but you play Morrigan in support very, very differently to what else we've seen him play. So I was very impressed to see the switch up in style be so effortless.
I mean, this is a team, again, and Hazer, you know, you touched on it. When we saw him last, and I feel like I talked to Genetics, or maybe it was from an interview, one of the two. I always conflate those because I watch so much Smite. Where there was genuinely a conversation where it's like, when you're at a LAN, you know there's going to be a LAN meta. You know something's going to happen. You know tomorrow, 3 games into the first best of 5, those gods are going to be the LAN meta, and what we saw today in game 1 won't mean anything anymore. But you also kind of know and pray that what you prepared is that meta, is the right thing. And so it kind of feels nice having the I guess, 2 edges, right? The one where you come in and things just go catastrophic for you, and the other where you come in and you put down the team that put you down.
Yeah, absolutely. And it feels like, speaking of LAN meta, I wonder if we're in a LAN meta now where we have to consider, is Ullr top of the charts? We've seen him go 10-0 in that game streak. I think 15-1 across the series.
Pretty good.
And Cyclone spin on that Ullr looked not half bad either. So I wonder if we're going to see more focus on that pick as we go through this tournament.
Well, if you take a peek at the bracket, you'll see now Team Risk with their 2-0 are going to go, man, what a treat, up against 5 M's. But then down towards the bottom, you see a couple of them, Smoke Break, Mockingbird, now Food Drive and Borscht, I believe, which is next, Smoke Break, Mockingbird. So today, and I sometimes love when brackets work out like this, because it's hard to do when you've got so much that went into seeding, so much that went into how things are going to be placed, who's going to even be here, the groups prior to that and knockouts. And yet somehow we managed to get an NA, EMEA, NA, EMEA day lineup. So very, very, I think, well done, appropriate, fun, and that means that we're going to get some cross-regional play that we've already gotten a hint of, right? Those groups were definitely cross-regional that we saw, but it's going to be fun. Of course, for 5Ms now, they know their opponent, Team Risk, aware, got to see the first set, but you have to imagine they're feeling pretty good after their first win. You know how to take it from me. We got Streak Up standing by on the stage.
Yeah, Streak with me here after a big 2-0 win in their first match here at the SMITE 2 Founder Series. Also worth mentioning, your first time playing on stage in front of a crowd, and you give us a 10-0 performance in Game 2. Walk me through the emotions of walking out onto stage, getting into game. Do you settle into it, or are the nerves high the entire time?
I was definitely a little bit nervous at the start, but once the game we got into the game, it was fine.
Well, they're in Game 2. Again, 10-0. It's not easy to do, and you make it look really good. Talk me through what works well for your team here. Again, this team goes on a 4-month win streak, lose to these guys on the opposite side, now back to your winning ways. What did you guys get back to that helped you win?
I think us losing a lot last LAN helped us a lot, just realizing what we did wrong before. So that helped us a lot of prep coming into this tournament to like change a lot of stuff.
And you only get 2 examples of it, but is the LAN meta, from what you saw this morning, what you see in your set, about what you expected? Do you expect some changes as the weekend goes on, or did you guys have a good read?
I think it's basically the same as it was, so I'm not really surprised by anything so far.
You think you're going to get an Uller ban thrown your way once or twice?
I assume so.
Are you the MVP of this set for your squad, or somebody else on the team you want to give some love to?
The whole team.
The entire team. That's a good team player right there. So tomorrow you're into a best of 5, winners finals. Winner of that goes on to the grand finals, going up against 5Ms. You got to watch them earlier on today. What are you looking for in your opponent tomorrow?
Looking forward to playing against all of them. I think I have a lot of nice friends over there as well, so it's going to be interesting.
Well, I'm excited to see you guys get it done. Welcome to LAN. Welcome to fans. Congrats. We'll go to the break. When we come back, we got a knockout match.